Welcome to the Hollywood Outsider, an award-winning weekly podcast focusing on film and television. We are back for 2024, and these are the only awards that really matter, the 2024 Ho Awards. So let's kick off the show. If you have not listened to our Ho Awards before, we do ours a bit different. No male or female, for example, just actor and supporting actor. If you want to follow along, the categories are in the show notes or the website post. So just bring it up and let us know what your picks are on social media. We'd love to follow along with everybody else. And each of us four are going to award our own personal winners in each category. But at the end, we're going to combine ours with listener picks to determine what were the Ho TV series and movie of 2023 of all of last year. I'm your host, Aaron Peterson. Joining me today are my fellow hosts, John Davenport.
Hola, muy amable.
Troy Heinrichs.
What's up, everybody? Happy New Year.
And Amanda Sink.
Hello, hello.
Look at that. You're kicking off 2024 by showing up for an episode. We're all very proud of you.
New year, new me.
All right, so I know I fumbled my intro a little bit, but you guys wouldn't have noticed that. But there are listeners who would have noticed it. However, how did I do? What do you think? Is that a good one?
I don't know what it was.
I didn't know what it was either.
I didn't know.
I said hello, and I'm happy.
You said some weird stuff afterwards, and I just didn't know if we actually got the. Yeah,
we didn't even notice it, so that's a good thing.
I just want to move past it. So yes, where it's great. It was probably the best intro I've ever heard.
How you doing, Aaron?
I'm doing
Amanda,
wonderful.
I know it's a new year, new you, but you also heard of the term of one and done, right?
Okay, all right.
Are we talking about her dating or what?
Oh my God!
I didn't know what was going on.
Okay, that hurt.
Wow.
That stings a little bit, you know.
I'm
When you have an
leave.
emotionally unavailable man tell you that on Christmas Eve.
Oh.
All right, guys.
I wasn't trying.
A little close to home.
I was going for the cheap joke. Wasn't trying to hit a home.
That was a home run.
Reality just set in right about now. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next year.
It's okay. I'm dating somebody new, so it's fine. Totally fine.
Oh, cool.
Yay! Congratulations.
Yeah. I'll fill you in. I'll fill you guys in another time. But movies, right?
Movies and TV. Let's talk. Did you hear The Rock came out recently? By the time you hear this, to be last week, saying he wants to be a real actor now. He said he wants to do movies that matter. The same week that he comes out on WWE and returns to the wrestling.
I was gonna say, can you clarify what you mean by a real actor?
He says he wants to do movies that matter. He wants to do drama, emotional pieces. Things
He wants to win an Oscar.
Sure.
Is that what this is?
Yeah, a barbell. Yeah.
Okay.
For him. He's going to need two of them, though, because they're heavy.
No. No.
Just telling you what he said. We do our awards every year, and you listen to so many award shows, and I got to say, I mean, they never give awards to things that are just entertaining. There's a whole lot. Everybody's got to be sad. Everyone has to be miserable to win an Oscar, I think. And it's just not the way life should be. So we're going to, we do our awards a little different. We pick what our favorites were, whether they're emotional, whether they're just entertainment, whether they're whatever they are. We just go through what we enjoyed and why we enjoyed them. And we have multiple categories in TV and film. And we're going to start with TV. And I got to say, guys, before we get into the awards, I was impressed with the year in television because coming up with a top 10 for TV was very difficult for me.
As in, ranking them or finding 10 shows that you actually watched?
Things that have been staples in the past, Only Murders in the Building, Ted Lasso, stuff like that. I had better shows than them on my slate, so they weren't even in my top 10. And that, to me, but they were still great. It's not that I disliked them in any way. It's just they didn't make my top 10 because there were so many good TV. There's so much good on television right now.
I didn't realize the award show was going to have a twist so early.
I was going to say, I feel like this is actually the mark of something great because Aaron is not the TV guy amongst the group whatsoever at all.
Well, you don't have to say it quite like that. I mean,
Yeah.
I just mean, first of all, we all know our resident television expert is Troy, and then I'm gonna claim like the second runner-up for this. But Aaron is not usually the type to have, I would say, even more than like 4 to 5 shows. Like, you give it 1 to 2 episodes and you're done. Troy and I have been watching Grey's Anatomy for like 20 years, and we still haven't given up, and it's terrible. And that's the difference between our group.
I think that speaks more to you guys' willingness to punish yourselves.
Yeah, that's true.
Well,
that's true.
Yeah, I'm not going to watch crap TV. Like, I've gotten so good at just saying bye after about an episode. And honestly, that's what you should do, Amanda. Honestly, if you really don't like something, why do you keep watching it?
I don't know, because I hope that it's going to get better, just like my dating life, you know?
I learned this lesson from Castle because I really wanted to love Castle so much, but after about the 3rd season or whenever it was, they got the two of them got together, the chemistry of the show just put me to sleep. And I was still putting it on, and then I would literally fall asleep. And after a while, I went, why am I watching this show just because I need good sleep? This is stupid. And then I started imparting that ability onto other shows. Now it's gotten to the point where for me, there is so many good new things out there that I'll start one thing and then I will pick up another thing, and I'll focus 100% on that other thing, and then I'll forget to go back to the one I started that I really liked.
Oh my God, I feel this.
Yeah, I've done that.
I don't want to say that that's a mark of what was more interesting or not more interesting. It's just whatever struck me right for that moment, and then reminding myself to go back and pick it up again was the issue. I found so many great new things this year that I'm sorry that I didn't pick up sooner, but also I have to apologize to apparently Apple because of all the shade that I continuously throw at them and their services and their products, because so many of my new favorite things are coming from Apple.
Yeah, how about them apples?
Jesus Christ. Can I go home now?
That wasn't even worthy of me. Come on.
I just finger gunned afterwards too, which made it like 5 times worse.
You didn't see it. She was all...
I'm laughing. I thought that was great.
I think that's the thing, though. People don't understand about Apple, and I was a big proponent at the start. The problem that people are having in the streaming services today is that everybody overspent, and now they're trying to make these streaming services viable. Apple played the smart move and said, we're only going to publish something that's good. Except for defending.
That's debatable.
Except for defending Jacob.
Hang on, Sparky. I will say I was just on Apple because I was watching Monarch last night. And so I looked at they have the top 15, right, for TV and film. Their TV slate is great. Yeah, there's a lot of good television on there. Their movie slate sucks ass. I mean, literally tastes like my ass. So if you go and actually...
How do you know what your ass tastes like?
Unfortunately experimented more than I'd like to talk about.
It's also called Apple TV Plus, not Apple Movie Plus.
That's fair, but they actually have movies on their top 15 from 2021. Like Palmer.
Yeah, they do.
Justin Timberlake's Palmer was in their top 15. That's like 2 years ago, and no one watched it. I don't understand why they can't.
It's a little embarrassing.
Right. Yeah.
Well, and I wonder too if it's the algorithm of what's on the streaming service versus what's being watched on the device, because you could obviously watch your entire movie library on the device.
No, it's the streaming service. It's the whole. That's how they do it. It's just they don't have many good movies or lasting movies, put it that way.
Which is fine.
I mean, I don't want to sit there and toot their horn too much, but it does seem like they're investing in a category of shows that not a lot of people are doing, and they're doing so in a way that is much more appealing to the genre fans, because a lot of the stuff that they have that's great is genre television, and they're doing it in a respectful, intelligent way, and they're not even afraid to spend the money on this genre television.
Hey, I'm glad you like them. They're not in my top 3, but I mean, I'm glad they're in your top 3, and we're talking TV, and that's where they belong to be talked about.
I mean,
Right.
You feel, John, that it's like an HBO replacement, like when HBO was in the heyday, right? I mean, not that they're not in their heyday, but I feel like HBO's content is probably going to shift now that, Zaslav and company are there
Be
to blow the
reality
place up.
based.
Yeah. I feel like Apple TV Plus is going to become what HBO used to be on that Sunday night viewing kind of experience.
We'll see if we'll see if it actually gets there or not. HBO has been doing this for eons, so for them to suddenly fumble the ball on that one seems crazy, even with this new ownership, because they've gone through so many different owners over the years. So I don't know if that's going to be necessarily fair, but I will say that as far as what they're producing, they're not producing numbers, they're producing quality, and that's what I hope the takeaway for other streaming services is.
Well, let's kick off the awards. We've got our first category, and that is Best Special Effects and or Stunts for a TV Series. Now, remember, each of us gets to award our own winner in each category. We toll everything together at the end for the whole TV show and whole movie of the year, listeners, our own thoughts, etc. But what is your winner, Troy? You get to start this one off for Best Special Effects and or Stunts for a TV Series.
Best special effects and stunts for TV series this year for me goes to Ahsoka. I thought that for a TV production, coming off of watching Andor and Obi-Wan, and it was all nice and pretty and polished, but there was just something extra about Ahsoka. There was this dark tendency to it that made the lightsabers then pop even more. Just seeing different experiences and venues and planets, and then the whole concept with the space whales and the hyper and the battle scene, like everything about Ahsoka just screamed like this should have been a movie rather than a TV show, because I thought it was really well done. Plus the way that they did the lightsabers specifically just made every lightsaber feel unique and special.
Well, I will agree that I think Ahsoka is very good. And it should have been a movie. Yeah, I think that one should have been. So should Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Obi-Wan should have definitely
Obi-Wan
been a movie.
should have been a movie for sure.
Ahsoka, I really enjoyed that show, and I could see that being a 2-part movie versus a show, because it could have used some trimming down, or it could have, if it was going to be a show this way, they could have capitalized on so much more of the opportunities they had ahead of them.
But this is just about the effects, not about the show itself.
Effects or stunts, correct?
Yeah.
Right. We combine for TV because there's, it's just a smaller dynamic. But Amanda, what about you? What's your pick for best special effects and or stunts?
So mine is going to go to a show that is, I actually need to thank Aaron for forcing me to get into. I wanted to, I knew I needed to watch it. I just hadn't taken the time. And then I started barreling through the first season. And then I started barreling through the second season. And that's going to go to Reacher.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it is so cool. And the thing that I really like about their stunts is it feels like somebody's really getting hit in the face.
It does,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it really, really does. I feel like I'm watching legitimate fighters, in some of these moments. And Alan Richardson is like phenomenal. He's so cool. He's so badass.
Well, if you remember in his interview with us, he was talking about how some of the stunt coordinators would be like, no, I really need you to do this. And he's like, what? I'm going to hurt you. He's like, no, you're not. Just go ahead and do this. I really would need you to thumb in my eye.
Man. When he kicks somebody, he puts his full force into it. I mean, or at least in his face, because it looks like he is fully kicking the shit out of someone.
It does. Yeah. It looks like it reminds me of the stunt choreography from like John Wick movies, where it's just so engaging and it feels like a dance.
Well, it does. Where John Wick
poorly
feels like
dancing. He's just smash dancing.
Right.
Smashing people's faces. Yeah.
The Reacher version of it is what can a freaking kaiju do to you if it was just big enough to fit in the room?
I don't know. I think he could handle even a big one. I think he could.
What?
Whoa.
All right.
That's Amanda. Alan, go ahead and give her a call. I'm sure she'll
Alan,
that conversation.
Please. It is 8-1.
Did you see those abs? He can give me a call too. John, what do you got for special effects or stunts?
So mine for special effects is what I'm going to be focusing on is going to be season 2 of Invasion on Apple Plus. I know we had a whole conversation about this, but I just picked up the show. I barreled through the first season. I'm in and through the second season. And as far as television that is going to have great special effects, they're on different planets. They're in spaceships. They're different worlds entirely of everything you can think of under the sun as far as what they're creating, and it feels different and it feels tangible, and it does not feel like the amount of times that I felt like I was looking at a blue screen or a green screen or whatever screen they're using, plaid, I don't give a shit. But the amount of times I felt like I was looking at that was so minimal, and I tip my hat to them.
I haven't seen that one. I'm really surprised you didn't pick Monarch, though, especially with your love for that kaiju world. But
I was trying to be fair to the rest of the stuff.
You do what you want. My pick for special effects and/or stunts is Warrior. There's nothing as much, and I love Reacher. Amanda just talked about it. I absolutely love Reacher. But when it comes to stunts, there's nothing on TV that compares to Warrior. The fight scenes are so elegantly choreographed. They feel like a real ass whooping, but also like a ballet. Andrew Koji and Joe Taslim in particular, those two are just wonderful fighters. They are just so talented. And every time I watch a fight, I feel bad for other people's faces. It's just wonderfully done and crafted. And it's so rhythmic. Like there's a rhythm to it. I mean, it's beautiful to behold a lot of times. There's several set pieces where I was just like, God damn, how did they do that? And then I realized I am not capable of doing things like that. My body said no.
Yeah, those hips be breaking for you.
Fair. Now let's take that and segue to best villain or badass. That can go either way. Toughest person in TV, basically. Or scariest.
So for me, I went for somebody who initially maybe you don't think is such a bad person or such a villain, but especially because it's structured in a way that there is another quote unquote villain in the show. And this is in The Fall of the House of Usher. And the character that I'm going with is Madeline Usher, who's played by Mary McDonnell. And her character was just so, I mean, she really, when you look at it, is a villain. She's a villain in her life to the people that she cares about. She's great in some capacities, but like as you get to learn more about her, and I won't add anything that's like a spoiler for the show, but as you learn more about her, you realize, wow, there's a darkness here. It's wild. And she's so methodical. And she's so intentional and manipulative that she knows how to make a situation work for her. And to me, that reflects both villain and badass.
Yeah, that character itself is quite entertaining. On both sides, actually, like the before and after. But Mary McDonnell she's a great actress who really never gets the credit she deserves.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with badass in that case. And that's going to be Betty Gilpin's character in Mrs. Davis. She was so engaging, so much fun to watch in the show. And she's incredible as far as she's a nun that goes and hunts down. Her job is to go hunt down like fraud magicians and expose them. And then she gets tasked by this machine to go and find the Grail. I mean, everything about this whole story is nuts, and it's one of these things that I couldn't believe what I was watching, because it kind of thumbs its eye at the conventions of television story making, and but her character was incredible.
That's a good one.
I haven't seen that one because I saw Damon Lindelof's name and I instantly had PTSD and just couldn't.
Well, I get it. She makes the show absolutely worth it.
She's wonderful.
I hope they never come back with another season of this, because this is definitely a great one and done show.
Yeah.
I might check it out if it's a one and done. He doesn't do good with long, drawn out. Let's see where this conclusion is going to go. Oh God, it went there. He's like that.
Yeah, this one actually had a full ending, so I'd be surprised if it was more.
The Leftovers is still critically acclaimed. I'm just saying, great ending. It's a great
Not by
ending.
that critic.
I just couldn't get into it, man. I was like, I would have rather ate Leftovers.
The Leftovers is a hard show to get into because the first season is so depressing, but
Because
it's
it sucks.
so good when it finishes.
That's why. Just because it sucks. That's why I was just like, man, this is not good. Like, I was not entertained. It seems
what
like
year
it would
did the Leftovers come out in?
What's that?
What year did the Leftovers come out in?
It was a few years ago. They had three seasons, right? 3 seasons. A lot of
we're
people
doing-
loved it.
Yeah, three short
Just speaking
seasons.
for myself.
We're doing
three short
2023
seasons,
then,
and
right?
It's beautiful. I mean, it's Carrie Coon for the record. So Carrie Coon is awesome.
I don't care. I don't care who did it. It was boring. Hey, I'm glad you loved it. You know what? I got to reframe it. I did not enjoy it, but you had a wonderful time, and that's great, and you should keep spouting that positivity.
That seems condescending a little bit.
It is, totally.
Toxic positivity.
So moving on, my pick for best villain or badass is Andrew Koji. I already talked pretty much about him in Warrior. He's the star of Warrior, but he's also the guy who, because he's a star, gets in the most fights. And he is, like I said, a fantastic fighter. He's a bruiser. He also has a lot of heart and menace to him, to his character, to his performance, how he portrays it. You know, he's constantly right in line between two different worlds, and he's having to fight people he loves as well as people he loathes. And I really love his performance. And they kind of canceled the show this year after the third season. It's moving to Netflix early next year with the possibility of a renewal. I'm hoping it just blows up on Netflix, and all of you guys who haven't seen it, catch it there and drive it to a renewal, because it's a fantastic show. I love that show.
I'll go with Scott Shepherd's David from The Last of Us in episode 8. If you played the video game, David was the creepiest freaking character you've ever seen, probably in a video game in a long time. And I think Scott Shepherd's did a really great job bringing out that David ickiness and leadership and vile when you saw it actually in the HBO production. So yeah, Scott Shepherd's definitely embodied that character of David for me this year.
Were you worried about that one? Since you were such a fan of the game?
Well, I was worried about how it would come across, and would people like turn off the show because of how creepy David is. And then I was also worried about getting enough of the villainous pedophile ick off of his character. And then just when he was doing that whole scene, right, John, with when he's correcting that little girl and her dad had died and everything, and then they're serving up her dad for soup later on, and it was just like that whole moment when he's talking to her, let alone what he does to Ellie later on in the episode, that I just felt like, whoa, like I go take a shower.
Yeah, no,
So
immediately good. When he's on the screen, he gives the creeps. He doesn't come off as a good person whatsoever. Even though he's trying to be one, you definitely go, oh, this is going to be a problem. And it turns like, and as somebody who didn't play the game and I didn't know who he was, I just was able to go in blindly and just get my feelings off of him from what they were doing on the screen and not from my knowledge. And it came across immediately that he's a nightmare.
All right, we're moving in a couple acting category. Best supporting actor across all of television, male and female. Who's the best actor? Supporting actor.
I had to give this to Ben Mendelsohn from Secret Invasion because the
Really?
reason why, and the reason why is because anytime he was on the screen, that show suddenly was like 10 times better than it was.
It wasn't a high bar to get over, though.
No, it really wasn't. But I enjoyed it so much that he was the only thing that I remembered from that show. And I think, you know what, man, you get it, because that show otherwise was a disappointment, not a lot of fun to watch until you were on screen. He deserves it.
All right.
This is weird because I don't know how to talk about this, because the reason why this person gets the award is because of how well masked he is throughout the course of the production. But Tim Robbins in Silo, like just the way he plays that character and how the character evolves throughout the show and what you understand him to be doing and yet not understand him to be doing, that back and forth of his character, I feel just really gets to a point where you get to the end and you're kind of like, oh.
Yeah, he's a surprise. He was a good surprise in that show, and you bought into him. Whatever it was he was selling, you were buying it. Even though there's a part of you going, I shouldn't be buying this right now. He delivers it so well. You go, I'm buying it. Whatever it is he's selling, I'm going to take home with me. I know it's going to poison me. I know it's going to mess me up later, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and we always talk about like the best roles are the ones where, and really when he comes to, and he's not really a villain in the show, but he's kind of portrayed as the antagonist. It's just a matter of his ability to sit there on screen and sell, like John was saying, sell you that he's doing the right thing. He believes so heavily in the thing that he is doing that he'll do anything to protect it. Yet at the same time, he's also conniving and backstabbing and trying to get his rank up as the political power grows as the Silo thing happens and falls apart as far as the governmental structures. And it was just fascinating to watch him watch that and go like, wow, Tim Robbins has still got it even to this day.
It's one of those things where you watch Tim Robbins right now and you're like, wow, I feel like he's been so underutilized in the last 20 years for him to be able to pull this role off the way he did. I can see him in so many other things that he could possibly elevate to a higher level that it is. Even take genre television or genre movies, you throw him in and he could possibly be the best villain in something that you've ever seen in Marvel, if he was ever inclined to do such a thing. So he's underutilized entirely.
He's a wonderful actor. I mean, you go look at the difference between Shawshank and Arlington Road. Just that alone. I mean, that's so polar opposite in terms of characters.
And then High Fidelity.
Yeah, he's a very talented actor. Mystic River, right? Amanda, what about you? Best supporting actor.
So for me, I'm going to go with Bella Ramsey from The Last of Us. She's a great addition to the show itself. And I feel like Pedro Pascal obviously takes everything for me. Like there's no if, ands, or buts that he is the reason that show is phenomenal as it turned out to be. Mm-hmm. But she and him had such great chemistry, and her character had range. She could make you feel angry with her. She could make you feel sad with her. She can make you feel happy with her. And I felt like I was investing in her world to a point that I just didn't expect it. She was just great.
Yeah, I mean, you could make the case she's a co-lead, but
you could.
On the same token, I every time I thought back on that show, because I thought about her too, and I'm like, yeah, I do think of Pedro pretty much most of the time. And I played the game too. So, I mean, I get the whole storyline, but Pedro is definitely the star of this particular season anyway.
Yeah, definitely. And I know that they did put her in for nominations as a lead actress. But for me, kind of what made that differentiating factor was that a lot of the award shows outside of the Hollywood Outsider do it where they separate gender. We do not. So for me, if we're not separating and we're looking at the cast as a whole, Pedro is the lead and she supports his character. I know that her story is integral to his story, but it's more so about his journey, and she happens to be part of it.
It's fair. I think that's fair. My pick is, look, and I know some people are like, what? Because there are so many wonderful performances out there this season, but I'll explain. My choice is Maria Sten from Reacher. She plays Neely, and you also have to have, I think, some investment in the character itself, the books itself, because on the page, Neely is kind of the person that shows up once in a while to help Jack out. I think she's only been in like 5 or 6 books, but here she's in every episode of this season. She was in a bunch of episodes last season. I just think she makes that show better, and I love the character of Jack Reacher. I really believe in keeping the structure similar to how the books work, where he just drops into a town and things happen. I don't want anything personal. 2 seasons have been personal. I want next season to be very much non-personal in terms of the scenario, but I want her involved, even though she probably wouldn't be if it was the books, because she's that good. She is powerful on her own. She doesn't need Jack Reacher. She's just a wonderful complement to him, but she's damn good when he's the character everybody talks about, or a lot of people talk about, but if she's on screen, I'm not even thinking about Reacher. I just think she's that good. Like she can hold the show on her own. She
That's
can do
a good
spinoff.
one.
So I love Maria Sten.
Yeah, she's awesome. I think that she complements Reacher in such a way that it balances everything out in a lovely fashion. And she is, again, she's like you said, when she's on the screen, she is just as imposing of a figure, but she doesn't have to have all that size behind her.
Now, best actor in all of TV. Now I'm going to tell you who I'm picking, and I want to apologize ahead of time because I know I will butcher his name. I've been trying to say it all morning, and I haven't said it right yet. David Oyelowo. Yeah, I'm sorry. I really am sorry. I've tried. There's so many pronunciations, but Bass Reeves, okay? He is such a wonderful actor. I can't even tell you, and if you haven't watched Bass Reeves on Paramount Plus, Do yourself a favor. It's a great show. It seems like it's a limited series, so it's not going to have a season 2. I'd love to see more. But over the course of the episodes, you start with Bass Reeves as a slave, and he is kind of forced into a battle he doesn't want to be part of. And he is vulnerable. He's emotional. He is detached. He is scared. He plays this range of emotion, right, throughout this first episode as he's becoming a freed slave, a man on the run, all of these factors that come into play. And then as the series goes on, it basically goes through different periods of time as Bass Reeves goes through different aspects of his life because he was a real person. And as the show goes on, he becomes more resilient, tougher, firmer, more understated, quieter, doing more with his face, like less verbal, more kind of like Sergio Leone, Clint Eastwood, Man with No Name. I mean, as it progresses, he just becomes this more stoic character until the very, very end of the series, where you get I won't say anything, but you get a facial response to something that just really kind of puts the character in a full circle spin. Like you just understand everything that happened before and why we are at this point, where we went from this point to this point and how we got here. It's a wonderful performance. If he doesn't get nominated for everything, then there's no justice in the world as far as I'm concerned. Best one of the year, by far.
Yeah, it's a show that I keep on thinking about checking out. Was it you that told me that Bass Reeves, the figure, was the initial inspiration for the Lone Ranger?
It's Dave McGraw, I believe, in our group, but I have said that too because it's speculated upon. There's no proof of that. It's kind of one of those fun internet rumors. One guy wrote it in a book and the internet exploded over it. There's no
Roger
proof
that.
Of that.
Okay. Well, then I don't want to watch it.
No,
Just
you
kidding.
should definitely watch it. Great
Just
show.
kidding.
Amanda, best actor.
Well, I just talked about him. I love him. He's amazing. Mr. Pedro Pascal from Last of Us. I cannot tell you
Great
how
choice.
much I enjoy watching him. I honestly, if he wanted to paint a wall for like 24 hours straight, I would watch it. I would do it. There is not much that man could not get me invested into. He is just so charismatic. He's so charming, but he is also, especially in this, you get to see somebody who can be so charming and electric and I guess like really
Woogie, woogie,
adorable.
woogie.
Yeah. But you get to see him also kind of take the role of like this supportive caretaker / father in the show. And he's a bit resistant to it from his character's standpoint because he's trying not to let emotions get in the way of things. And you see that progression in Pedro in the way that he operates, the way that he talks, the way that, his facial expressions change, his demeanor. I just feel like there's so much intentionality in everything that he does, and it comes across for me. And I just love him so much. I adore him.
Well, I think that just goes with saying that we just keep rolling with that train because this is the guy. Wonder Woman 1984. He's the villain, and he sucks. He's terrible. I hated him. Everything about Pedro Pascal in that movie irked the absolute living shit out of me.
Really?
You can be better.
Yeah, just so over the top. So just did not.
It was ridiculous. But I feel like that was what it was written.
I'm
Not
sure it
him.
was, but there was just so much more with 1984 that I was already having problems with before he shows up on screen. Pedro Pascal, when he was cast in this role, the internet, like, what the hell, blah, 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 keyboard warriors. And I was kind of there with them. I was like, he's no Joel. Joel is this character in the video game, rough, gruff, tough, pissed off at the world. His kid dies. It's like, there's no way Pedro Pascal, this goofy asshole from Wonder Woman, is going to play Joel. And yep, nobody else in the entire world will be able to play Joel going forward. Pedro completely encapsulated everything about the Joel character, and I'm really, really anxious to see how he takes that as the story moves forward into the second and third seasons. He stole my heart. He did. He was really, really, really good. And working with Bella was absolutely amazing to watch the two of them together.
Aw. Very sweet. All right, John, what do you got? You going to make it a threesome?
God, no. Which, I mean, well deserved, but I think this is going to be the time in which I cannot avoid any further, and that's to mention Monarch, Legacy of Monsters, aka the Godzilla show, and have Kurt and Wyatt Russell be the best actor for me, because
Gotta pick one. Which one's better?
they're the same person.
Nope. It's a different performance, though. What's the vote on this? It's 3-1. You can only pick one winner. So what do you guys say? Troy, Amanda?
I say you have to choose the actor, which is why I did what I did for Madeline Usher in Best Villain or Badass.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
She's
because it
got
would be
the same
saying-
situation.
Yeah, you'd be saying like I'm voting for
Best character.
Allison versus.
All right.
If you're
Right.
picking Tatiana and Orphan Black, you can't pick which version of Tatiana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of them.
Definitely all of them.
You just
Even
brought up
Helena.
Tatiana Maslany.
Although Orphan Black would be the same actor, so that would be
Right.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and say it's Kurt Russell is the best actor, because so I love the show, but I do identify that the show is in moments very campy, but with that campiness, whenever Kurt Russell is on screen, elevates it, and he makes it so much more tangible, and it's a better experience overall. Not to say that I don't love the show, but because I do, but I just love it so much better when he's on screen.
That's fair. I mean, every time I watch it, I start to zone out, and then Kurt Russell shows up. I'm like, this is better now.
Yep.
It's better than the monsters. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, calm down.
You're biased, okay?
I sure am. I would watch Kurt Russell paint a wall. If there were 24 hours, he just painted a wall.
Good callback. Good callback. Can they do it together? Because I would also really love their energy as they're painting a wall together for
No.
24
shirts.
hours.
They have to keep their shirts on.
No,
I'm
without
going to
them.
need a shower. All right. All right, moving
I'm going to a
on.
completely different place where I'm thinking now there's a giant pig, so that Kurt Russell can actually ride the Pork Chop Express.
Oh,
Could,
my
take that thing
God.
down.
Where the hell is your brain at most of the time?
I was talking about Big Trouble in Little China the other
Well,
day.
no, I understand, but like you're just, he's going to ride a pig. What?
Yeah, the giant kaiju monster, but it's a pig.
Okay.
He
All right.
lassos
Now,
the
at least
thing
I
and
can
he
connect
takes
the
it down.
dots. So, sometimes Troy's talking. I'm like, how did you get from point A to point X? Oh, okay. Now I understand.
I feel so strange the fact that whenever he does this, I'm right along with him, and I'm going, fuck, I understand this shit. And then you people are like, how did you get there? I'm like, oh no, I understand this thinking. What is wrong with me?
You should be concerned. Maybe get an evaluation done.
Yeah.
I probably should.
Yeah.
Now, our next category, obviously, be wary of spoiling anyone's experience that might not be through something, but we do have a category for best specific moment on TV. And this means something that happened during a show or event that really, really just stuck with you throughout the year. Troy, you're first.
This is a hard one. There's so much good TV this year.
Oh, stop.
Oh, no, it's not. It's really, really easy.
I was going
It's
to
really
say,
easy.
don't even fake this.
And we're all get canceled because we're going to say this, of course, from all the people.
I'm not saying it.
listening.
I have a different pick.
But the third episode of The Last of Us, the day in the life of Nick Offerman, that episode is a whole movie into itself. And I think it actually was like an hour, 20-minute runtime on that one. That episode just... And the best part about that episode is that it doesn't even star Joel and Ellie, except for maybe the first 10 minutes of the episode while they're walking to where Bill's home is. That episode is just on a whole other level about life and humanity and what you'll do to protect the people you love, the things you love, how you end up dying, plan for your death. All of it is just, it is the perfect hour and 20-minute capsule of what humanity should be. And if you don't walk away from that episode changed, altered, shifted in some way, like you have to not be human at that point.
All right. I don't think I was changed, altered, or shifted, but I still feel like I'm pretty human. I liked it a lot. Is that okay?
What did he say? Because I tuned him out halfway through all that.
I know.
Wow.
Especially because that story in that third episode was not in the game except for one piece of paper, a small note that was written that was also very subjective, and they built an entire world from that one piece of paper.
It's probably the biggest risk they took in terms of translating the game, because it has nothing to do with the game whatsoever. My pick is the rave scene in The Fall of the House of Usher, episode 2. It was the holy shit moment of the year for me. I won't go into it too much because I'm sure plenty of you have not seen it yet. It's a great series. Like The Fall of the House of Usher is a great series. It really, really tackles a lot of Edgar Allan Poe love. It's well constructed. It's well put together. But episode 2 is there's just a scene where they're at a rave and things go sideways. And the whole episode, I'm waiting to see how this is going to play out. I'm trying to put two pieces in my head. I think I have it figured out. I'm like, well, this has got to happen. This has got to happen. And then it happens. And I'm like, didn't have all that in my head. Nope. Holy shit. So that's my pick.
That's a really good call.
You know, I still haven't watched that.
Oh, you missed out on some great TV.
What is wrong with you?
Yeah, I don't
Seriously.
know, man. I love all of his shows. I didn't give myself time to watch that one. So I'm going to have to echo Troy's pick. And that's why I was giving him a hard time for even pretending that it wasn't his pick, because I loved that third episode of The Last of Us. It was beautiful storytelling, emotionally captured an entire world upon itself, and it was a huge risk that they took that paid off absolutely. If people tell me, well, I don't have the patience for another zombie show, I will tell them, that's great, just watch that one episode and you'll get everything you want out of that one episode, as far as great storytelling. So that's my pick.
I've kind of been tossing in my head back and forth about changing my mind to agree with you guys, but I am not going to, just because I want to go with what originally came to my mind. And I did consider Aaron's pick. And then there is a different moment in the show that I thought was even more surprising to me, I guess. And I'm going to try to be very coy about it so I don't give any spoilers for anyone who hasn't watched The Fall of the House of Usher.
I don't know what this is. Okay.
This is the moment where there's a particular injury that occurs using a mirror that breaks.
Yeah. Oh, man, that got me too. Yeah, that was a good one.
And it's also just the production of it. It was so phenomenally done. And this is not to take away from The Rave at all, because The Rave is I remember when I first watched that, and I don't think you guys had seen it because I was screening it yet. Mm-hmm. And I just remember saying, like, wait till you get to this episode. It is bonkers. And I gasped in the rave scene. So I don't want to take away from that. But there was something about the production of this other scene that really took me by storm. It was a very small moment, but it was so well done, well executed.
They really amp up the tension as it builds to that mirror.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do. Yeah.
And that's really not giving anything away, because she didn't even say which episode it's in. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Trying to be vague.
All right. Well, our next award is the Justin Macumber Award. This is a special award. Justin Macumber is our former host of The Hollywood Outsider, and he brought along a very, very little seen or understood movie and really contributed to the success of that film, even according to its film's director. It was called Coherence. I even had the director on here. You have to dig through the vault to find that episode. But that's why we named it the Justin Macumber Award. This is our personal picks for a little seen or discussed TV series that just completely won you over and you wish more people find it in the new year. Amanda, what's your pick?
So mine is one that I think it got a lot of marketing initially, but I have not heard many people talk about it. And that is a show called Swarm. This is one that I caught at South by Southwest. And it is about this girl named Dre who is obsessed with this pop star. And the fan base is known as the Swarm. And it starts to go into her life, her desires, her fandom, and it takes her to some really, really dark places. I just remember being completely shooketh at the show. Dominique Fishburne, I think is the actress's name. She's phenomenal Oh my God. But there's so many really, like when I first watched the show in the beginning, first episode pilot, I'm thinking, okay, where's this going to go? Like, am I going to be interested in about this? I don't know, basically Swiftie is the equivalent of what I would say it's like. And then it starts to go down a very, very dark horror road. And I realized, wow, I had no idea what I was signing up for. No idea. And I won't give anything more away, but I will say that there's some really interesting choices, creative choices made in that. And I was just blown away. It was something very unique and different.
That's cool. John?
So for me, this is where I'm going to go ahead and throw in the light viewing, as far as no heavy lifting required for a show. And it's a little show called Ghosts on Paramount, I believe. And it's actually a American remake of a British show, and it's got this great little cast. It's this great little experience to it. I wish more people would sit down and watch it because it is a fun, light show to watch. So that's why I'm picking it.
All right. Mine's going to be Wilderness. Stars Jenna Coleman. She plays Liv. She's this young woman. She's married to Will. Everything seems perfect. Then she learns that Will had an affair. Oh, no. And then she finds out Will, it seems, has been manipulating her and refuses to let her go. Oh, no. So she decides to plot to murder Will during a trip to see America's national parks. And then things keep escalating. It's on Prime. I really enjoyed it. This is like Lifetime TV to me, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was well done and very, very interesting. Jenna Coleman is great as Liv. And it just keeps escalating. And they actually got the rights to a Taylor Swift song, if you can believe it, which she never gives them the rights to. But the theme song for the show is actually Look What You Made Me Do or whatever. So, yeah.
Look at you little Swiftie.
I know, right? I'm a Swiftie now.
I love it. I love this. This is amazing.
It's just for 2023. It's over now. It's 2024.
No.
Yep.
Moved on.
Just wait till the next Taylor's version
No,
album re-release.
I'm a Megan Thee Stallion guy now. Sorry. Right.
Not Lil Cool J.
Just 2023 remixed. For mine, it's going to be Apple TV Plus, since not many people have that. So clearly very little seen. It's called Strange Planet. And Strange Planet is in that kind of genre of, if you're a fan of like Black Mirror or Love, Death, and Robots, where it's just a little bit quirky and looks at human life in a different way. Strange Planet is actually a webtoon series turned into TV series about some little blue blobs that talk in a vocabulary that is not like our own. They basically go through life as human beings, but as these aliens, and they ascribe things that humans would do, but in their own kind of way. So they talk about things like tiny snacks, right, instead of things of that nature. Or they'll talk about, instead of talking about teeth, they're called mouth stones. And instead of coffee, it's jitter liquid. And confetti is tiny trash. So they just, the way that they describe how they're experiencing human things as these aliens on our planet, it's just endearing to think about. What I get out of it anyway is the view of humanity through a different lens. And it really kind of makes you kind of think about, oh, what if I looked at life a little bit differently as well, like these little blue blobs do. Some of the challenges with the show are that, like, sometimes it tries to be really funny and sometimes it tries to be really serious. So when they do that in the same episode, the episode doesn't work as well. But if they stay all funny or all serious, the episodes are hysterical. That one's over on Apple TV Plus and came out this past summer.
All right. So biggest surprise. What was your biggest surprise? And that can mean whatever you want it to mean. Just your biggest surprise in TV.
I'm going to go with Foundation. It's not something which is on Apple TV Plus. You're welcome, Troy. I'm plugging your thing the proper way, I guess. The show is not something I would normally want to watch. I gave it a try because it is a genre show, and I was already on the app at the moment because I had just finished up my entire viewing of Ted Lasso. So I was like, I'll give this a shot because it does feel a little pretentious when you look at it. It feels a little over the top. It's got Lee Pace in it. And I didn't think it was going to be something that would really stick with me. But as I kept watching, it kept on proving me wrong every single time. And that's, I'm touting Apple TV Plus for multiple things, and I hate them for it.
That's totally fair. We'll go with the Apple TV Plus train one more time.
Did you guys get like a check or anything? Like
every time we say it.
Yeah.
Every time we say it.
Just checking.
Secretly, Arjan and I actually moved in. That's why we watched most of the same stuff this year.
You guys are roomies with a little bromance. That's cute.
Adorable.
We have the Chandler and Joey chairs right next to each other. And
100%.
That's so cute.
Mine was Silo. I did not know what this show was going to be about. I saw Rebecca Ferguson. I saw Tim Robbins. I saw the tile because I was already in Apple TV watching Invasion. And I just started the first episode. And by the end of the second episode, or really by the end of the first episode, I was like, I'll watch the second episode. By the end of the second episode, I was like, this show's bonkers. Like, where is this going to go? And I never thought that people living in a 100+ floor nuclear silo would be interesting. But then it gets into the whole government and the class system and all that stuff, very Game of Thrones like from that perspective. But instead of over an entire, world, it's literally just in this one elevator shaft, pretty much. And it's just fascinating how they're able to build an entire society in this one place. And then when you see how it plays out at the end, you're just like, holy shit, I think was the expression I had at the end. And then can't wait for season 2. It's going to be so good.
Amanda?
Mine is a show that I believe John actually brought up on our Discord channel. So feel free to join us for The Hollywood Outsider on Discord.
Yeah, there you go.
So the show is called School Spirits. This is 1000% up my alley. John was completely correct on that. Yeah.
It's definitely up your alley. Yeah.
I know. I was a little after the first episode. I was like, I think Aaron may end up liking this. After the second and third episode, I was like, nah, I don't think he's gonna end up liking this. But I was like, but I already told him to watch it, and I know his wife is gonna love it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna just keep my mouth closed. But essentially, this show is about a girl who dies and she's trying to figure out who killed her, what happened to her. She is a ghost and she gets to kind of linger in this ghost world with other dead people. But they get to interact with the real world in some capacity, but they can't make change to it. And then there's some more details that kind of flesh out after the first episode, so I won't say anything about that. But what I was surprised by is I hadn't really heard anything about this show until then. And then I was on my Netflix and I saw it was like recommended. And I was like, I think John and friend of the show, Tyler, it said that they were watching this show and they were enjoying it. So I was like, maybe I should just check this out. So I give it a go. The first episode, few minutes, I'm like, holy crap. This is the actress, one of the actresses from Cobra Kai, the one that I do like. And I was like, this is kind of a cool concept. I really like just.
It's Peyton List.
Yeah. I'm curious where this is going to go. And so while I'll say that it was not a perfect show by any means, it definitely has the CW 13 Reasons Why type of vibe to it in terms of production. And there are some supporting actors that are not necessarily the best. Okay.
That boyfriend is horrible. I'm not even going to name him.
The boyfriend is terrible.
Because he's terrible.
Yeah. It's essentially like if you were to look back at Edward Cullen in Twilight, that's the energy that I'm getting in terms of a performance.
He can't even act that well.
So what I'm hearing is the biggest surprise is that you actually like this show, because all I'm hearing is that it's CW, but for emo people that don't actually doink each other. Yeah. So they're not actually pretty. They can't actually act, and it's exactly why I stopped watching this. And
she's good.
Through.
No, she's
amazing. She makes it phenomenal.
Peyton was the only reason why I gave this show a shot, and I could not make it through the first episode.
With you, Troy.
Really? Oh my gosh. Yeah, I liked it. I really did. And I will say, even getting to the end of it, I was like, look, I would be open to, the next season that they're supposed to come out with. What I'm most surprised by is that I hadn't heard of it. It's something that is normally would be completely on my radar because it's the type of show I enjoy. And I hadn't heard of it, but I went into it and I was like, hey, I actually ended up liking it.
And I gotta say, I'm glad you guys like it. I'm not trying to poo-poo. I swear to God, I'm not.
I know.
But I am so mad at both of you because you convinced me to. You convinced me to watch
the one
it.
time you watch our recommendation.
Wait, whoa.
Well, let me explain. Let me finish.
Okay.
You both convinced me to watch the show, and I'm glad you both enjoy it. It's not for me, but my wife did love it. So now I have to watch every goddamn episode of it. And I'm just, it's not for me. It's just not for me. But I'm glad
you need a better wife then, because my wife started to watch it too, and she said the same thing I did, and I was like, "This is why we're married. I love you."
So
normally we're on the same page. Normally we are on very much the same page. This is not.
I want to be clear. I specifically said, Aaron, this isn't for you.
No, you said you went both ways. You've actually gone both ways. So you both have recommended. You said, I think you might like it, and then said, I don't know if it'll actually be for you. But whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm in it now, and I blame both of you. So now my biggest surprise.
John has talked about this show. It sounded like he liked it just as much as he liked The Last of Us. That's how much I've heard John talk about School Spirits. What? It is not The Last of Us.
It's
I would be The Last of Us to finish the show. That's what I'm doing.
I must really check my enthusiasm at the door sometimes when I'm talking about something. Because
Can I? All right, my biggest surprise. We got to move on. Jury Duty. I don't like anything about that on any normal level. So many people were recommending go watch Jury Duty, and if you don't know what it is, it's basically a show on Prime or free VM Prime, whatever it is. It's on Prime. That has a bunch of everyone's an actor except one dude, and that one dude is going through an entire jury process while things just get wackier and more bonkers, and it becomes almost like night court in many respects. But they try to keep it like it's a real judicial process, and he thinks it is until the end. I enjoyed every single episode. I can't even stress how much I hate reality TV. There's nothing about reality TV I enjoy because I know for a fact it's not reality. This was really clever, really entertaining, and I just really, really enjoyed the hell out of it. So that was my biggest surprise by far. Now, it's time for our top 10. Now, everybody has their top 10. It can be a regular series or limited series. Just had to have at least 3 new episodes in 2023. What is your top 10? Do them all at your turn. Try not to elaborate too much because we don't want to spend 45 minutes on this. But please tell us what your top 10 list is.
All right. So going in order from 10 to 1, we've got Swarm, which I talked about a little bit already. Jury Duty, which we've talked about. Poker Face, which we haven't really chatted about, but it's a fun show if you haven't checked it out.
Love Poker Face.
School Spirits, don't judge me. I enjoyed it. It takes a lot of my energy these days. No. I just want to say it takes a lot of my energy these days to not just to actually sit through an entire show right now. I don't know why. And it captured my attention enough. The next season of Legend of Vox Machina. Reacher. Freaking loved it. Yay. Okay. Love and Death. My girl, Elizabeth Olsen. Queen Charlotte, A Bridgerton Story.
What? Wait. Wait. Really?
Yeah, it was great. It really was. There was a lot of touching moments. They had a really fascinating way of kind of doing this prequel story and tying in strings to the Bridgerton show. But also giving us it felt very much like a spin-off. Very much so.
Okay.
Even though I knew it was completely connected to the existing world, it just took place many years ago. So then I have Last of Us. And my number 1 was Fall of the House of Usher.
Oh, number 1. Wow.
Loved it.
That's awesome. Glad you enjoyed it. Wait for Mike Flanagan to leave on top, right?
Right?
All right. So my top 10 from 10 to 1. Number 10 is A Murder at the End of the World. It's on Hulu and FX, but it's on Hulu if you want to stream it. It's 7 episodes. It's Gen Z Sherlock Holmes, right up my alley. It's really intelligent. I mean, basically, there's an AI device that's used as Watson. I can't recommend it enough. And I've been wanting to watch it all fall, but I had just finally got over it over Christmas break. And I'm so glad I did because it's great. Justified City Primeval. should honestly be way higher on my list. So that's actually a disappointing placement because Justified's one of my favorite shows. This wasn't even in my top 5, but it's still good. It just wasn't as good as the original Justified. Number 8 is Gen V. If you haven't seen it, it's a spinoff from The Boys. Shocked how much I enjoyed that. Absolutely shocked because I didn't even want to watch it. And then I did, and I couldn't stop watching it. It's a really good show. Next up, we've got The Fall of the House of Usher. Talked about it a lot, but it's a very, very intriguing, thrilling, horrific series on Netflix that I hope more people find in 2024. Number 6 is The Last of Us. It didn't quite make my top 5. There's a couple things I think didn't stick the landing as well as Troy does in terms of the gameplay and the game story. But it's still a great show. Like, I have nothing negative to say about it. It's a great show, and Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey are fantastic in it. Top 5, Fargo. Oh my God. This is almost as good, if not better, than the first season of Fargo. If you don't know, Fargo is an anthology show where every season is its own thing. So you can actually watch season 5, and you didn't have to see any of the previous seasons. And it's Juno Temple stars from Ted Lasso is actually the star of it, and she plays a woman who's on the run from a really, really bad man. And things, of course, go sideways in that Fargo way. It's a great season, and Juno Temple is on another level. She was so close to be my pick for top actor. She just does such a fantastic job. And John Hamm, also great job as a villain. Joe Carey from Stranger Things is in this show too, by the way, and he's playing really against type and does a really good job as a villainous-esque character. Number 4 is Bass Reeves, which I've already talked about ad nauseum, but I can't recommend that show enough. I really, really can't. Now, my top 3, Poker Face. Amanda talked about it briefly. Natasha Lyonne as a Columbo for the modern age, where she basically just goes from town to town solving crimes. Every episode is a different crime. It's from Rian Johnson, who did, Glass Onion and Knives Out. Wonderful mysteries, wonderful performances. They go in many different directions. It isn't cut and paste like a lot of, Monk episodes and stuff like that. It's its own thing, and it really reinvents the detective show. And
yeah,
Natasha Lyonne is just so good.
I love her so much.
Man, she's so fun to watch too, isn't she?
Yeah, she has, oh my God, just her, I hate to use this, but her vibe, man, it's vibing.
Okay. Okay.
There's just something about her.
Okay, millennial. All right, next up is Warrior season 3. It might have been the last season. It does end to where you can be comfortable of how it ends, but it's still a wonderful show. Now, the first 2 seasons were on Cinemax, so they were a little bit raunchier, a little naughtier in terms of the sexy department. But the 3rd season, I thought, was actually an improvement. It was better. They toned some of the sex and nudity down and kind of amped up the actual mythology and the world building and what was going on. And I just love the show, man. It's more than just ass kicking, too. The characters are intriguing and fun, and you're rooting for different avenues to succeed. It's just so good. But my number 1, it's not going to surprise many people, but Reacher season 2, I think it's better than season 1.
Shocker.
Yeah. Well, kiss my ass. Alan Ritchson, the only reason he doesn't get best actor from me is just because David was so good as Bass Reeves. But he is fantastic as Jack Reacher. He has really taken that character off the page and made it a reality. And for book readers, it's phenomenal because we've always wanted this to be realized. And finally, we have a character that can do that. And this season is the best of the 2. So I'm stoked for what season 3 is going to be. It's full of action, intrigue, random ass beatings, as well as some clever retorts. Jack Reacher's a character that I think everybody wishes existed in the real world, who just wants to do what's right at all times and doesn't falter, and believes in people. That's another aspect that I think of this season that doesn't get talked about enough is this season. It's really about his belief in the people that he has worked with in his career. Like, he has total faith in them to do their jobs and to come through when they need to. He doesn't sit there and he doesn't micromanage or any of that nonsense. He picked you. He trusts you. He believes in you. And it comes across in the show. And I think that's something that isn't being said enough, and I love that aspect of the season. Those are my 10. Troy?
My 10 TV shows. Starting at number 10, I followed Carrie Russell for most of her career, so when I heard she was back on TV over on Netflix, I watched The Diplomat. Thought that was a very interesting, fun take, like a Designated Survivor, House of Cards type of format. Something different for Carrie to be in to watch her go. 9 was, speaking of Designated Survivor, Rabbit Hole at number 9 with Mr. Kiefer. Thought that was a great series. Probably right up until the end. So I'm hoping that they continue it based on how it ended. Because if it ends the way it did,
nope,
it just seems like
you might have missed it. They announced it. It's not coming back. It got canceled.
Yeah. So the ending wasn't exactly great then because it really wanted some closure to the end of that first season. Number 8, Strange New Worlds, Star Trek, the second season, obviously with the musical episode. I thought it did a really good job coming back in its sophomore outing to really keep that nostalgia of classic Trek going.
That works? The musical episode works, by the way?
It works great. I mean, It's not like the best musical songs. It's not Scrubs or Buffy by any chance in their musical episodes, but the way they did the episode actually makes a lot of sense. So it's good enough to sit through it if you're a song fan. 7 is Ahsoka. 6 finished only Murders in the Building under the wire for this recording of the episode. So I started watching it when it first came out, and I wasn't feeling Paul Rudd, to be honest. Paul Rudd and Meryl Streep both kind of took me out of the first 2 episodes. But as the season progressed and you saw how it was coming together, I really liked that they set up kind of the separation of the 3 and then brought the 3 back together. I thought that was a nice a twist for that season. It doesn't work though unless the 3 of them are together. That's kind of what I felt. Like you need the 3 together in order for the show to really feel the punch. I put Murder at the End of the World at number 5. Originally I had it at 10 when I did this list originally. But the ending really did a great job of sticking the landing.
Oh yeah, it's clever. Yeah.
Very great idea, very cool concept, kind of pieces that Aaron kind of picked out on, some pieces I picked out on, and combined we actually did kind of guess the whole thing. But not until the very last episode. So I think that was the best part about that show, and just the way that it's done from a detective story, I think is fascinating, especially when you think about climate change and big tech, basically facing us in the face of danger today. To Lasso number 3, Picard season 3. Picard never should have worked, right? Next Generation was long and done. The first season of Picard was probably more nostalgia glasses. It probably wasn't as good as people think. The second season, I really enjoyed the second season because if you have John DeLance playing Q in any Star Trek anything, I'm all about it. Like the man can just sit there and say nothing, and I would watch the entire episode. The relationship between John Delancey and Picard in that season, and the second season, was so good. But season 3 basically did everything that Star Wars 7, 8, and 9 did not do. Picard season 3 was the combination of all things new Trek in one season that was so well done. From Dominion War to shapeshifters to Borg to it was just the reunion and seeing the Enterprise D again. Everything was so good in that season. Like if you're a Star Trek fan, Picard 3 hit every single button. I put Last of Us at number 2 because it's a video game adaptation and not an original thing, which I suppose doesn't go with logic because number 1 is actually a book series adapted for TV. But I think Silo was just a surprise at how well it was executed, that every episode was just, the first episode was something, and the second episode was something different, and the third episode was something different, and then the fourth episode was government, and the fifth episode was race. And it just touched on so many things. And then when it all came together at the end, it just went, what? It was like, that was a shock. So yeah, definitely was my most favorite time binging a series this year.
That's awesome. Good list.
Yeah, it's a pretty strong list. So I'm going to go ahead and dip into mine, starting at number 10, Foundation Season 2. I've already talked enough about that. Number 9, Legend of Vox Machina Season 2. I cannot tell you how much I love that show, how much I love Critical Role. It makes me want to roll dice all the time, and I can't I can't wait for more seasons of what they're bringing down the pipe. Reacher season 2 is my number 8. Mrs. Davis is my number 7. That's a show that I don't think got enough attention this year, and I hope people take the time to invest in that one. Hopefully, what will be a one and done season. My number 6 is Invasion, another show that took me by surprise this year because I didn't want to like anything on Apple Plus, but it turns out I did. This is my Eating Crow at number 5 because I finally got to sit down and watch Ted Lasso season, all the seasons.
Go. There you go. I'm proud of you. Proud of you.
I can't tell you enough how much I love Ted Lasso. So it's
wow. Almost like everybody here told you would.
It feels like the world sent you a telegram and you just slammed the door in its face. But you finally opened the door.
We gave you this magical thing and said, watch this. And then you came back and said, hey, thanks for that. By the way, here's School Spirits.
Okay.
You're next.
Well,
you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I love how he took a drink of water after he did that. He's so proud of himself.
I'm surprised he didn't drop his mic.
Right. I'm glad I'm you know what I will have to say, I'm glad I waited for as long as I did to invest in Ted Lasso because there are a couple of story points in there that I would not have been able to separate myself from.
Sure.
And now especially this last year was the perfect time for me to sit down and watch it and enjoy it. So it's an amazing show. It's a beautiful story. Everything about it is great. I can keep going. My number 4, which surprises me that it's in the number 4, and it might surprise everybody else, is Monarch: Legacy of Monsters. I love how they're expanding the story of the Monsterverse. I love what they're doing with jumping back and forth between the timelines, although I wish they did it in a better edited way or a more edited way that made more sense. Overall, great show.
Yeah, for people that have never listened before, in case you didn't know, because I guess we make an assumption and we shouldn't do that. John is a really, really crazy Godzilla fan. There you go. I filled in the blank. Go ahead.
Yeah, right. Just in case. I'm sorry if you're brand new to the show and this is the episode in which you discovered us in. So my number 3 is a show that I haven't mentioned. I don't think a lot of us mentioned it over this last year. The Night Agent on Netflix.
Oh, I like that one. Yeah.
Interesting.
I really liked the show. I really liked what they were doing. I liked how absolutely nobody in that show was a known commodity. It was a whole lot of fresh faces that I've never seen before, and the story is pretty good. And you know what? I think it needs to get more attention. What I was surprised
it was a huge
to hear,
hit. It was a huge hit. It's very 24 in how it's executed. Yeah,
it really was. What I was surprised to hear is that it was Netflix's number 3 show for the year.
It's huge. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's great. Last of Us season 1 is my number 2, and my number 1 is Silo. And I think Troy said all the words on that one.
All right. Good lists, everybody. Good choices. There's a lot of TV that people probably haven't even heard of, honestly. But we did poll our listeners in our Facebook group, The Hollywood Outsider, which you can always find on Facebook. We put polls up for movies and TV. So we have the top 5 from the listener poll. Number 5 was The Bear, which nobody talked about. So I guess we don't love it as much as listeners do. So congratulations to The Bear. Number 4 is Only Murders in the Building. Still a great show. Just shy of my top 10. Number 3 is Last of Us. Number 2 is Reacher, which is about one spot too low as far as I'm concerned. And number 1, not really a big surprise, but Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso is the number 1 show for listeners for 2020.
Not surprised whatsoever.
I was surprised it missed my top 10 because I love Ted Lasso. I did not love necessarily how they stuck the landing in a couple aspects, but yeah, very good show. Now, we are independently funded if you didn't know that, so therefore all the expenses are from our own pockets. If you want to help support the show, please go to patreon.com/thehollywoodoutsider. That's patreon.com/thehollywoodutsider. We have a Patreon exclusive podcast there called Bad Movie Night, where we take a movie we actually like, but unfortunately the world doesn't like for some reason or another, and tell you what we do like about it. Also, we usually have a bonus episode every month where we discuss whatever you guys want us to discuss. So there you go, patreon.com/thehollywoodutsider. And also you will get early access to our spinoff show inspired by a true story, which is in your podcast feeds now. Now we're going to head over to movies. Movies. It's time to look at movies, and this includes video on demand, anything that was on streaming. As long as the movie was released in 2023, it counts toward these categories. Is everyone ready for the movies? I feel like we talked a lot on our wrap-up of the year episode about the movie experience, theaters, and whatnot. But is there anything you want to say about the movies last year? Anyone felt good about it?
I did. I felt like we had kind of like a revitalization of the movie industry a little bit. I know we had some hiccups throughout the year and some strikes and some things going on, but and that'll impact this year more than anything. But there was still a lot of good content, and the Barbieheimer, whatever you decide to go with, that was a phenomenal kind of like, I don't know, energy grabber for the release.
Yeah. I felt like there was a lot that I wanted to go see that I didn't get to go see, but then I looked back and I said, oh, we actually saw a lot more than I thought I did. But I think it was a fun year at the movies, I think, is the key, right? It felt like even though we had the Guardians and the Ant-Man, it didn't feel so Marvel DC centric. Yet, even though there were those movies there, I felt like other movies got a chance to shine for a change.
Because nobody went to those movies based on the box office.
True. Yeah, I felt there was a lot of good diversification this year, even from the indie films and from A24. I thought there was just a lot of variety that we haven't seen in a while.
Absolutely. All right, well, let's start with our first category, which is the best use of a worn-out movie cliche or a plot, which kind of means reinvented something that's gone stale.
Yeah, my first one, I was surprised at how much I liked this movie, and it wasn't so much for what's in the movie, because that's why people will be like, well, that's of course why you like it. But I really enjoyed No Hard Feelings with Jennifer Lawrence. I thought that movie had a lot of really great heart to it, in the concept that they were trying to turn this, geek guy around who's going off to college, hasn't been with a girl, and the whole premise behind how Jennifer Lawrence comes in to try to date him and everything. So that turned the dork into a cool guy cliche. That really struck me for this award specifically, because I really thought at the end it was a really sweet movie when it gets down to the end of it. Really enjoyed the flick. I love the chemistry between the two leads. It was just a lot of fun for a rom-com type situation.
So for you, reinventing the R-rated, the raunchy rom-com, basically?
You got it.
R-rated rom-com?
Yep.
Good. And I'm glad you picked that one over anyone but you. I don't even know if you saw that one yet or not, because I think No Hard Feelings is better than that one.
It was a cute movie.
That's good to know, because I was going to watch that one and now I might not.
No, it's worth a watch, but it's just No Hard Feelings was better.
Okay.
You're a little biased, though.
Yeah.
With your Jennifer Lawrence. Yeah.
Did I tell you I woke up today and I think I did tell you guys that. And on Facebook, I had about 25 different likes from someone on Facebook named Jennifer Lawrence. I'm like, oh, I'm sure it's probably her, right?
Yeah, using her picture, no less.
Yes, of course. All right. So, Amanda, go ahead.
So mine is a movie called Bottoms. And I would say the cliche movie plot, focus on here is high schoolers trying to get laid, and how they reinvent it, I guess, to make it a little bit more interesting and fun. When you hear that, you're probably thinking it's a bunch of like jock dudes trying to get a bunch of ladies, right? No, it's a couple ladies trying to get some ladies. And I thought it was hilarious. On top of that, you've got Marshawn Lynch, who's like their fighting instructor.
He's so good.
He's
so
like their
funny.
coach. He's their representative for their club. But they literally make a fight club in the school because they want to try to get laid. And I just found that movie to be hysterical and so much fun.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm with
Definitely see it.
With you 1,000% on that one. Yeah. It's just nuts how fun that movie was. And it's just, man, Bottoms was a riot. It was a riot.
Mm-hmm.
But my pick is going to be the blending of fantasy worlds and reality that Barbie did. Because, you've seen stuff like that before where it's like taking reality and putting them in the real world. And it's kind of a stale premise to me. I just don't find it that interesting. But I thought this was brilliant. I thought the way that they handled it was brilliant. And it was just really interesting for people that didn't give a shit about Barbie, let alone Barbie fanatics. Yeah, of course, there are people that dressed up for it and everything else, but I didn't care about Barbie. I did not care at all. I really enjoyed the movie. I had a great time with it, and I thought they covered a lot of bases, and it was just a fun story, and they really reinvented that cliche.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the way they did it. And they did it just by leaning harder into it than they absolutely anyone that probably would have ever done it. My cliche I'm going to go with is from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, when one of your heroes gets hurt and everyone has to do something about it. That I get really tired when they sideline a hero one way or another, or reduce their power, or any of these other stupid things when they go from movie to movie. It drives me nuts when I see it. But this time, I was happy that they used the story the way they did, because it was a good way to inject as much heart as they did into that story.
Good call. All right. Best physical effects or stunts, because in movies we have CGI separated. So best physical effects or stunts.
So this is going to have to go to Mission Impossible. I mean, how do you bypass that?
I'll tell you in a minute.
Alrighty then.
Well, you can explain why. Like, why did you pick it? I mean, why?
Well, I'll be perfectly honest. I missed the physical effects part of it. So I was originally putting down Oppenheimer, however the hell you say that movie's name. Yeah, and then I was like, that doesn't fit. That doesn't count. So, I started with Mission Impossible, and then I was like, wait a second. Oppenheimer was amazing. I should probably put that in there. And then you were like, physical, not graphics. And I was like, ooh, shit. Okay, back to the OG. So Mission Impossible. You know what? It's the same thing I've always said about Mr. Cruzy and his movies. They're fun. He does know how to have fun with stunts and the stunt choreography. And it does, obviously a lot of it is very real. So hard to not give him the appreciation for stunts that he deserves.
It's all real. 1,000%. I'm just going to keep saying 1,000% because it's mathematically impossible.
But also, you said 1,000% in the last category, but then you went with something else.
That's the way
so
I roll.
Apparently not 1,000%.
Math ain't mathin' around here. That's why we have a podcast and we're not scientists.
So I can't use Reacher, right?
It's not a movie, jackass. Okay. So no.
That's not how that works. But
I guess not. So if I see how I can't use Reacher,
so weird.
From this document, I see an A, Oppenheimer, and then I put in Mission Impossible. Now I'm going to have to come in second with Mission Impossible because it is Mission Impossible.
So what you're telling us is you're the only one who read this question appropriately?
Yes.
Yeah, other than Aaron because he wrote it.
Aaron had it correct. Yeah.
You wrote it. It's easy when you make it.
I don't think it's hard to read. So... yeah.
Apparently it is for Troy and I.
We'll see, here's the thing. If I read it right, you all fucked up.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
Okay, so Troy, what do you got? As long as you can explain it.
Yeah, there's actually a great article.
I'm sorry, Troy, explain it?
Huh. Yeah, but
I'm going to go get a drink.
But I guarantee you Troy fucking read it, so shush.
No, there's actually a really great article about how Nolan is a big proponent of physical effects and how he actually used physical effects inside of Oppenheimer. So the scene that is actually like the neutrons swirling around when he's like thinking about it in his brain. That's not CGI. That's actually done with physical effects. And even the atomic bomb explosion itself is actually multiple camera shots of the actual explosions from different points of view. And then they composited all of those camera shots into what was the atomic bomb explosion. So all of it technically is physically done in order to compile all of it. So
look at what happens when you do research. Oh my God.
I knew all that, and I wasn't going to help either one of you sons of bitches because you couldn't figure that. Troy, I'll give you kudos, man. Good for you.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm also going to take mine back. I'm going back to yes. I am because Troy did a really good job explaining it.
Yeah, the spinning beads and ball bearings and aluminum flakes and ping pong balls were put onto like a disc, and then it was different layers of water. So as it hits, it actually makes it look all swirly, and that's that whole effect of the neutron swirling. That was all done in like a fish tank and platters.
You know what? All of what you just said made me think of how cool it used to be.
Lacking in research you do. Yeah.
That too. But how cool it used to be when we had physical media before Best Buy decided to get rid of all of that. And on the physical media, they had all these special features that went behind the scenes and showed you basically a movie of the making of the movie, and how we don't get that much anymore. And I miss that. I really enjoyed that part of it rather than just having to read it. Being able to watch it is like the cool part.
Yeah, especially that slap, that Kitty puts across Oppenheimer's face. That was total practical effects.
Jesus.
That's a stunt right there.
All right. Well, my choice, and I'm sorry, Oppenheimer and Mission Impossible aside, both great choices for different reasons. But John Wick Chapter 4, I just don't see how you can watch that movie, which I would profess might be one of the rare perfect action movies. I don't know how you can say that those stunts aren't better than anything you see in Oppenheimer, because it's phenomenal choreography. It's the sheer inability to miss is transparent throughout the entire film. Like, they redid that. They got that so perfect when they're freaking flinging around cars and jumping in and out of cars. And so much of that is practical effects while they're driving around in that circle, the fighting, the gunplay, everything else. Like, it's just Mission Impossible doesn't come close. Oppenheimer, yeah, they're cool effects. Cool on you, Nolan. You know some film tricks. That's great. But John Wick Chapter 4 is like blew me away with their stunts. Blew me away.
Especially the staircase scene.
Oh
I'm changing my vote again.
No, man, pick one. You get one choice. That's
not how this works.
You know what? I'm going to say, I'm at least going to try to help you guys understand. I did this. I was very sleepy. I haven't been getting sleep much. My brain hasn't been fully working and functioning. So I'm gonna take the L, but I want you to know that you're right, Aaron. You are correct.
Okay, I'll allow that one. That
sounds like that's not all she's taking.
Yeah.
Jesus, calm down.
All right. Now, this is the best use of CGI. That's computer-generated effects for everybody that needs to know that in any film.
So this is going to be a huge surprise to everybody, because it's not going to be what everyone thinks it's going to be. It's going to be the creator. It is a beautiful movie. The special effects feel like they come right off of an art book for concept design, and it is gorgeous. And the world feels strong. It feels tangible. It feels like it's actually perfect. And everything about it was done so well. So that's my pick, as the creator.
Yeah, CGI in this case is really more of that real computer generated slick looking feel, and I would have to agree with Arjan that the creator was the best use. I mean, it was so seamlessly done. Like, you cannot see the difference between human and symbiont until they turn sideways. And even Ex Machina, I thought, did a really great job with Alex Garland's movie to make this same kind of effect. But it was just so super polished. And I think the big thing with the CGI here in the creator was that it felt like the world was lived in, and it was almost like today. Like, you could see yourself standing there and see one of these like giant ships come rolling through, or a robot come walking by. And it just felt real, not sci-fi, if that makes sense.
Let's also not forget the minuscule budget they made this on, too.
Right. $80 million.
Okay. Minuscule. It's still not, 80 million is still a lot of money. It's not like, but it's not Marvel money. I understand
it's
that.
Not
but
Marvel
it's still a lot
money.
Of money.
I'm sure they made, I'm hoping they could have made that money back.
I'm just saying Godzilla Minus One was what, 15 million? And their effects were pretty phenomenal. So
that I'm not going to argue with you.
We're getting there.
All right. My pick for best use of CGI was Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. The entire movie hinders on our emotions attached to a bunch of CGI creatures, like across the board. Not only Rocket Raccoon, but his friends and everyone that they come in contact with that's not Star-Lord. It was crushing. I mean, it was a movie that like really punched you in the gut, and the effects have to be phenomenal for that to work. Now, don't get me wrong. I think Marvel screws effects up a lot in their movies. This just isn't one of them. I think they were masterful in Volume 3.
Well, mine, as I was starting to allude to, is Godzilla Minus One, which is shocking because I'm not the one who normally likes Godzilla.
You are not.
Monster creatures and stuff like that.
You went to see it, to be honest.
Yeah, me too. But I ended up loving this movie. And you guys already talked about how it was a very small budget, $15 million. But one of the things that stands out to me is Godzilla looked phenomenal. Like he truly looked amazing. And that was CGI done from a man in a suit doing his little thing. And on top of that, one of the things that I thought was really fascinating in terms of the VFX is that they had such a difficulty not with creating Godzilla, but with creating the water, the bodies of water and how massive they were. And they ended up having to use like just for the water itself was 500 terabytes of data. And to me, that's an enormous effort to just put into basically your background.
Yeah.
And at no point did I ever question if I'm looking at real water or not. And I didn't even think about all of those different components that were added into it outside of Godzilla. Because, you know, the first thing you're thinking of is Godzilla. Does he feel real? Does he feel, you know, massive? Does it feel impactful? And, you know, does it feel like this is a monster that I would be terrified of? And yeah, all of that exists. But when you think about all of the effort and energy and the amount of work that went into creating the entire world for this, that was CGI and on such a limited budget for this film, it's so incredibly impressive to me.
Awesome. Good job.
Bravo.
She did do a little research,
She
guys.
did.
Brava.
Well done.
Brava, man. You know what? I'm glad I left that to you. Brava.
Thank you. That means a lot coming from you, actually.
Brava or bravo?
Both work.
Okay.
It's his language.
Okay.
No, it's not. It's just bravo, but there's also brava.
All right. Best villain or badass? That's the same category from TV. We just moved to movies. My choice is John Carver from Thanksgiving. If you haven't seen it, it's a fun return to memorable slasher villains for me. I love slasher films. I'm a huge, huge fan. And using only Thanksgiving-inspired murder weapons is very, very fun to me. And the fact that this is an Eli Roth movie who I was just ready to just pitch into the ether before this film, and he won me back with Thanksgiving because of this character and, you know, ultimately who it was and how it was played and just, just reinvented a horror, made, I don't want to say an icon because it's way too early. We'll see how the sequels do, but created a new villain I can get excited for. That's my pick.
I'm going to go. I did the same thing. I did the villain badass again, but I'll go with the badass, which of course is Keanu Reeves. Hands down.
Whoa.
Well played. Well played.
Agreed. What a way to end that series, man. He was so good. So good.
I know Kung Fu.
Well, to curtail that portion of the series.
Sure.
Okay. My best villain I'm going with is going to be Jason Momoa's Dante from Fast X.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
He's so ridiculous.
What?
And hot. Oh my God.
He is
Easy, Amanda.
I know. Sorry. Keep it in your pants, for
You
God's
sound
sake.
like John this episode.
I know.
You're like, can I get him painting a wall half naked? Oh, God. Anyhow.
She's dating somebody new. She's got a little bit like energy now, you know?
Whoa.
You're so funny.
Yeah. So I want to not care about the Fast and the Furious series anymore. It's lost its way. Jason Momoa brought me right back with his character of Dante because he is so over the top. He is so nuts, and he does it flawlessly. I can't ask for anything more because when I heard Jason Momoa was going to be the villain, I was thinking, okay, angry Aquaman. That's what I thought we were going to get, and some character like that, but he went so against what he would normally do that I just loved it. The way he was chewing on the scenery, perfect.
Interesting. It's so funny that you chose that. I love that. For me, I'm going badass, and there is nobody in this entire world of movies that was more badass than Keanu Reeves as John Wick in John Wick Chapter 4. And the fact of seeing how humble and just, I guess, kind of shy in some ways, like he seems very introverted as an individual, and seeing that comparison to what his character is in the movies, it takes it to another level for me. You know what I mean? Like Aaron can probably speak to this too, because he was there when Keanu was in front of us, but he feels so shy and like, I don't know, kind of reserved.
Kind.
Yeah, just
kind.
so gentle and sweet and kind. And then you watch John Wick Chapter 4 and there's very little, empathy for anybody that he doesn't already have like a prior relationship with, right? Like if you are an enemy, you are an enemy and you are getting taken down. And he is so resilient as a character, and as an actor, he's so much fun to watch. So much fun.
I mean, Chad Stahelski, who directed these films and is a stunt performer and choreographer himself. So he did the stunts in The Matrix. So he knows stunts better than most people. Any of us listening or talking, right? He has said multiple times in interviews, and when I just listened to a whole commentary thing that he did, he has said multiple times that Keanu Reeves, in terms of physical acting, is right up there with Jackie Chan. Like, he is just that impressive. And Donnie Yen, he gave him a lot of kudos too, because his preparation, and he's so fluid with his movement. It's almost balletic, and he just knows how to do physical performances better than most, which is pretty impressive because, he ain't young and he's still doing fantastic with it. Good call, Amanda. Good call. All right. Best supporting actor. Again, we don't do actor and actress. We do actor. So my pick for best supporting actor is Ryan Gosling as Ken. As far as I'm concerned, there's no one close. There was no one more talked about supporting actor wise. There's no one more mimicked supporting actor wise. And I even went as a sumbitch for Halloween. So it's Ryan Gosling as Ken.
You're wrong. Because Robert Downey Jr. is a fantastic supporting actor in Oppenheimer. If Robert Downey Jr.'s character isn't in that movie, the movie doesn't work. Robert Downey Jr. in that role, the role doesn't work. It was just so well done on how he went from this like person that enjoyed Oppenheimer to the point where he wanted to destroy Oppenheimer with all costs, even the cost of his own career. Robert Downey Jr. played that in color, in black and white, in the most amazing way possible. So yeah, RDJ back with a vengeance.
In black and white. Was this Tropic Thunder again?
I mean, if you want to see it that way, he kind of acts that way. So
I will say he was better in Tropic Thunder, but he was great in this, I will say.
He was better in Tropic Thunder. That's great. I'm going to go with George Lopez from Blue Beetle. It's a little talked about movie. I don't think we've gone over it, but his character was somebody that I enjoyed seeing on screen so much. He felt very much like the uncle that I've known. And, it's great. So that's why I'm going to go with George Lopez.
Interesting choice. I never saw that one coming. Amanda, what do you got?
So I am going to use the same movie as Aaron, but I'm actually going with a different person. And this individual in the movie had one scene that more than anything stole the show for me, more than Ryan Gosling. And I know that this is going to be probably a little bit questionable because her character has just a little bit to do with it, but America Ferrera in Barbie, she had such an impact.
I don't think there's anything questionable about that.
Well, I mean, just like because a lot of people have Ryan Gosling as like their fan favorite type of thing.
Choice. Yours.
I know.
That monologue is fantastic.
The reason I go with her is because that monologue literally put me in tears, but it also it filled my heart with like everything that women think and feel. And it kind of like energized me, I guess, in a way. I was like, hell yeah, girl, you preach it. That's right. That's what's up. So for me, I felt like a character that, could have been very monotonous or feeling a little bit unneeded. It never came across that way. Like, she had such an impact to that movie and to women. And that monologue has been recited and shared and, used across the board since the movie came out. And I think that speaks volumes to America Ferrera and, the character that she represented.
Which was all women.
It was,
in that moment, especially.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well picked. Well picked. But Ryan Gosling was better. All right, so best actor.
Wrong.
Sorry. Best actor. Who was your best overall actor last year? Troy?
Best actor is easily Cillian Murphy from Oppenheimer. Embodied Oppenheimer to the nth degree. Just the walk, the looks, the stares, the thinking, the stress, everything about it just oozed perfection in that role. And it's so great that Nolan recognized Cillian for his acting chops throughout the years, always playing like a side part or a supporting actor role in most of Nolan's films. So the fact that Nolan finally gave him a shot to do this, I think it was the perfect time for him to land it, and he landed it brilliantly.
I gotta say, he is phenomenal in Oppenheimer. Even though Oppenheimer is one of my favorite movies of the year, spoiler, he almost got my best actor category. So absolutely a great pick. But my choice is Sandra Hüller from Anatomy of a Fall. And I only saw this like at the tail end of the year, but I have to say, like, if you haven't seen this film, man, it's wonderful. And she actually plays Sandra Voiter in the film. And what the film revolves around is a woman's husband who has been very depressed, falls from a window to his death. And the police come to believe that she killed him. So it's a matter of, was this a suicide? Was this an accident? Or did she kill him? And this woman has to go through the gamut of emotions. And what the film really elevates to is it elevates to the human experience and what people do in these situations in terms of the jumping to conclusions, misconceptions, misunderstandings, like just making assumptions on who people are based on little moments in their lives. A fight, and how that fight after someone dies can be attributed to their death, even though it didn't happen even the same day. I mean, little things like this are so instrumental into the film and the story that they're telling, and how it's so easy for people to come to believe something because they only hear pieces of the story. And the film itself it's a mix of French and English, so it's probably 60-40 French and English. There are subtitles, but I can't recommend the movie enough. And her performance is so phenomenal. It's the linchpin to the film. It makes the entire film work. She has to be happy, miserable, strong, weak, vulnerable. Like, all of these emotions are just ran through, and she captures every moment and just makes it live and breathe. I can't rave about Sandra's performance enough. John,
that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to butcher the name of this person, and so I apologize to anyone who's going to hear me say this, but Reinsuke Kamiki, which he was the star of Godzilla -1.
He was Godzilla?
No, he's the -1.
Sorry.
He was the -1.
He's the -1. Okay.
Yeah. He played Kiyoshi, and he was the pilot that initially discovered Godzilla, or was part of the team that discovered Godzilla. I didn't think that I would care more about a person than I would about Godzilla being on the screen, but here we are. We felt he had a very heartbreaking story to him, and everything about him was just rough, but the way that he came to accept what his life was supposed to be like, and how he started rebuilding everything, especially during the end of World War II in Japan, he really brought it all back into something where he found his purpose. So, and I believed it. So that's why I'm going to go with him, and I'm not going to try to say his name again.
I understand.
It's a great choice, though.
Yeah, to not say his name again? Yeah, it's a great choice.
Well, that too, but also just him as your selection. Mine is going back to the movie that I just talked about in our last one, Barbie. Mine is Margot Robbie.
Ooh, I love this choice. I love it.
Yes, I cannot tell you enough. She is the embodiment physically of what Barbie is, right? Like, we can all attest that if you think about Barbie, that's what you would imagine. And she's perfect. She's beautiful, et cetera, et cetera.
I think about a lot of things. She's what I imagine.
But with her, it was watching her character realize everything that she thought she knew was a lie. You know what I mean? Like, you watch her start to crumble and break. You watch her start to feel emotions. You watch her start to realize that life isn't always happy and sunshine and rainbows and unicorns. Sometimes it's, oh my God, I'm going to die. And this is terrible and I'm miserable. And what's happening? You know, my body isn't the same as it used to be. Things are changing for me. And you watch Margot go through that visually on the screen and experience that. And that's not just, you know, specific to women. That's specific to humans, right? Like our physicality is such an important factor for so many different things, male or female. And when you start to feel like you're changing, it changes the way that you feel about the world, or it can, depending on how it's handled. And for her, she was realizing that, you know, Barbie didn't have the same impact that she thought she had on the world. It was twisted and it was morphed and it was changed. And it wasn't what it was intended to be or what she thought it was. And so you watch her go through all of these moments and you see her go through every stage of emotion and grief in so many ways. And also joy and happiness and accepting of oneself. And I just cannot speak enough about how much I loved her in this role. Like, truly.
It's a great choice, man. There's so much talk about what's going to be nominated and what's not. And I see so many things. Barbie for Best Picture and da-da-da, but I don't see Margot Robbie's name coming up. And I'm like, how do you not talk about Margot Robbie when she is
She
Barbie?
is. Yeah.
She's the movie. But people are weird. All right, so best specific moment in film. We're going to stay with you, Amanda. What was your best specific moment in film?
Okay, so back to Barbie.
Hey, man, you got a favorite? You got a favorite? You know?
It was very impactful. It's a very simple moment, but it was a very sweet moment. And it's when Margot looks over at this older woman and she says, "You are so beautiful." And the lady responds, "And I know it." And I just felt like that was such a beautiful moment, because we being like women in society, we preach about feminism these days and loving women and supporting women. But the truth and the reality is a lot of women judge other women really heavily.
Yeah.
We're not, I shouldn't say we, because I feel like I try to be, but some women are not supporters of women. They are not trying to put them on a pedestal or, you know, hold the ladder for them to climb, right? They're going to jump over that person and push them off the ladder, or they're going to judge them for being on the ladder. And that was just a moment where it was like, it doesn't matter how old you are, who you are, you know, anything about you. Like, we are all beautiful in some way. And I felt like that was a testament to supporting women to women, and also supporting beauty standards changing, about aging, and that it's okay that you don't look the way you did when you were 20. You're not going to look the way you were 20, despite how many, unless you're doing mass amounts of Botox and, I don't know, you find the drug that Paul Rudd found and you somehow get to keep that youthfulness. But for everybody else, we're going to grow and get old, and we're not going to look the same. And things are, you know, they're going to start to sag or something, is what I hear. So I just loved it. I thought it was pure, and I thought it was wholesome, and I loved it.
Good choice. John, try to top that.
I won't. I'm not even going to try. However, the moment in which Godzilla in his full size invades Tokyo for the first time in Godzilla -1, the music hits hard, and it's the original Godzilla theme. The first appearance of him post atomic bomb, where he grows in size and gets a good majority of his additional powers. Awesome. The look of him, the way his body moved when he was center screen, all of it was great, and it was just a very beautiful scene to be able to see that on screen, live and in Technicolor.
I sense a theme with both of you, by the way.
of what our preferences
Yeah,
are.
yeah. I feel like I can see what's coming a little bit. But
Do you
we'll
do you
see.
also want to know what's funny is John's pick is that was a really incredible moment. Like I will give it to him for sure.
All right. Well,
Aw,
then can you
thanks,
predict mine?
buddy.
Yeah. Where to you, Troy? Where to you?
Yeah, no, I would say, can you predict mine since you?
Yeah, I absolutely can predict it's going to be. Do you want me to say it out loud?
Yeah.
The Trinity test.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like we're all predictable or something.
Yeah,
Nobody's going to predict mine.
The A-bomb test in Oppenheimer was definitely it, because not so much for how well constructed the shot was and the sequence, just the absolute use of silence in that moment I thought was super powerful, and it did exactly what it was supposed to do, because it was the first time ever talking about the two bombs in Japan, and the first time I actually sat and thought about, holy shit, how many people did we just kill? And that wave of emotion that came over in that silence, and then all of a sudden, it was like, oh, that's right, we're still watching a movie. Yeah, really, really powerful stuff.
Yeah, man. Good call. It's a really powerful scene. It really is. My moment. I love a good horror hook. All right, I'm a huge horror fan. I love a good horror hook. And Talk to Me is a very good movie. It's not in my top 10. Spoiler alert. But there's a moment in the film that is my number one. Like it's my favorite moment of the year because it got me. I don't get scared in horror movies, no matter how much I love them. I was freaked out, and that's saying a lot. In the movie, if you've seen it, Sophie Wilde is the star of Talk to Me, and the idea is, for people that don't know what Talk to Me is, it's a horror movie where there's a hand, right? There's basically think of it like a voodoo hand or something like that. You shake the hand, and once you shake the hand, you see a demonic force, or you see a ghost, and then you could invite then that ghost or demonic force, whatever it ends up being, into your body to take possession. But you can't do it you have to do it for a very limited period of time. Otherwise, ramifications shall occur. Well, that scene that when Sophie Wilde takes the hand, and the novelty of choosing to be possessed by this possibly demonic force, possibly a ghost, the scene being possibly your deceased parent, the emotions that come with it, or a deceased loved one, the possibility that you could be being manipulated, like all of those things, the absolute hell that is unleashed in that scene, and the way that she acts, she is phenomenal in that scene. She's very good in the movie, but she's phenomenal in that scene. And that movie is so good, yes, but that scene stuck with me for the entire year. Like I've thought about that scene multiple times throughout the year because it was just so well done and well orchestrated and intense. And it starts to get you think, what would you do in those circumstances? Would you invite that force in, thinking it might be your parent? Just in the possibility that you could finally talk to someone that you lost. It's a very conflicting view, and it really, really poses a lot of interesting questions, and also, scared the bejesus out of me. So that's mine.
That's a good pick. I want to just interject something here. Amanda, did Aaron just call us out for having a theme?
I don't have a theme. I haven't even mentioned Talk to Me until this particular moment. That was what I was referring to.
I'm just talking about. So we had two categories where we mentioned the same movie back to back for both Amanda and I. Mm-hmm. However, when we look at Troy and his answers, it's been practically the entire time Oppenheimer. But he called us out because you two, not Troy.
You two were before I spoke. That's why. And you're right. I didn't.
John's just feeling a little personally attacked right now.
Yeah, that's all it is. I mean, I don't want to say if there's an award for whiny bitch, you might be getting it, but yeah.
It's 2024. You can't tell people that they're a whiny bitch, Aaron.
Oh,
right.
What's the politically correct term? Whiny fella?
You are feeling a lot of emotions right now.
Okay. Okay, well, speaking of emotions, nobody had more than Justin Macumber, and he's passed away. So this is time for the Justin Macumber Award. How about that for a segue? And Troy,
love it.
For movies, what do you got for the movie for Justin Macumber?
Oppenheimer.
Well, I have to go with Artifice Girl. Aaron's recommendation was spot on, something I would absolutely love, and I think more people actually need to see it because of the material that it covers and the difference between AI and humanity and the way this movie does it, especially with some other additional things that have come up lately that we talk a lot about regarding mental health. I think that it was a really well done story and presentation of the topics that when it came all together at the end, I was kind of like, damn, that was really, really good. More people need to see this for sure.
My choice for this award, and I'm stealing somebody's choice because why not? It's going to be Totally Killer from...
Yeah, you're welcome for this.
Yeah, I forgot about this movie, but once I saw it, I was like, oh, right. I love that more. And it's just a great little way of doing the slasher genre with a twist. It's just a whole lot of fun. I congrats to Blumhouse for continuously bringing out good horror that bounces back and forth between serious or fun. It's great.
Wait, can I just interject here real quick? So, number one, this is why I don't share my answers anywhere, because that way it's more of a surprise. But so you guys obviously saw each other's answers on the whole format that we use, right? I would guess. And instead of going with whatever you originally had so that Amanda could take her pick and have it be her own, you stole it because you were going first.
He was inspired by a good answer.
You know what? I was going to go with what Aaron said, but your answer is so much better, Amanda, so I'm going to go with that instead.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
And there's a podcast through the Hollywood Outsider Network called Inspired by a True Story. If you don't understand the reference, you should go check it out if you're a true crime or movie fan.
Ooh,
I don't know.
Look at that.
All right. The Justin Macumber Award for me is Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. And it shouldn't be here. It should have been a much bigger hit. It should have been more widely seen. And I do not like coming of age tales. Anyone that knows me knows that's why I don't go to Sundance, because I do not like coming of age films, because I feel like we've all come of age enough. And I've seen this movie 1,000 times. This is the way it should be done. It's about when a young girl, her family moves from the city to the suburbs, and Margaret is 11 years old, and she has to deal with new friends and feelings and adolescence and all of that jive. And it stars Abby Ryder Fortson and Rachel McAdams, who is phenomenal as her mom. It's just heartfelt. It's beautiful. It's warm. It's based on a book that many people know, but the movie is just wonderfully done. And I really, really hope more people will go find it, because it's absolutely worth the watch. Amanda, do you have anything to elaborate on your film that's already been used?
No, John really touched on it. It's a fun movie. I love Kiernan. She's a lot of fun. And I'm always a big fan of those kind of unusual or quirky or whatever type of lead female characters who have a bit of sass to them and sarcasm and have a little bit of, I don't know, darkness. Like they see the world a little bit darker. It's not all happiness and sunshine. And that is definitely this character. And it was just a lot of fun. You know, I think John hit on the rest of it.
I do have to say that Amanda probably said it better than I did. So thank you, Amanda, for coming in.
I think we had a great joint effort.
It was really good.
All right. What about your best score or soundtrack of the year?
It's easy for me. You know, okay. I will say this movie, I didn't enjoy as much as the first. There was a lot of it that I wasn't crazy about, but the soundtrack does not miss. And that is the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Oh, yeah, that's damn good.
That's a good pick.
Hard to beat it.
It was my number 2, but I do love a good musical, and so Wonka took it for me at the last minute.
Weren't you arguing with me that soundtrack wasn't as good as The Greatest Showman, or like wasn't good?
No, I was arguing with you that you made it like Wonka could be the next Greatest Showman. So then I went in with expectations, and then the expectations weren't there.
But you still love the movie.
He's saying comparatively, it's not
Wonka
Greatest Showman
is
levels.
Not the Greatest Showman, not even close to the Greatest Showman. But in its own entity, of its own thing. Which actually, we had a really cool conversation about how we could actually make another movie that would make this a trilogy. We actually had a really cool storyline thread for potentially a future make this movie right or something.
Okay.
But the music in Wonka is really, really good. The songs do pop. It's if you're a kid right? And you're coming in and you have no reference to Wonka whatsoever. These songs hit totally, and they're fun to sing and bop around and do the usual musical type stuff. Obviously, for us who have Wonka references in the past, it's maybe not as joyously remembrance of the old, but I really loved, I think Aaron even said it on the review episode that we did around the Christmas time, was that bridge between the old movie and this movie, and how it, the imagination song just kind of wove its way through, definitely made it tick up just a little bit above, give you that like, ooh, feeling in the heart over Spider-Verse. But Spider-Verse is a great pick.
I really loved how pure imagination really got to me, because they do, like you said, they really like underscore it throughout the movie, and then only as you get to the end they really start to dig into it. But man, you feel it throughout the movie because of the way it comes up, and it's just well done. Mine is John Wick Chapter 4. It's the score by Tyler Bates and Joel J. Richard is phenomenal in my opinion. It really immerses me in the world, and I think the music of that film kind of goes unappreciated with how it complements what is happening at all times in the John Wick's world. And that is a lot to me in terms of what makes a movie fly. And the fact that, to me, like I said, I think it's a damn near masterpiece of action cinema. The music complements all of it.
That's a good pick.
Yeah, that's a good pick. So for me, I'm going to go ahead and say that it is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I'm not stealing anyone's answers on this one. It's totally my original pick.
Good to know.
I will try to use that preamble on all my choices moving forward. But yeah, it's.
You shouldn't have called yourself out. That's all.
I totally did.
It's your own fault.
It really is.
We believe you. We'll just say that it's a blanket statement. You do not have to repeat that, please. We're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amanda said a lot of great words. I think this is like the John and Amanda like lift each other up episode. But
there is like a bromance happening right now, and I really love it.
Do everything I can to stomp that back down. Yep.
Yeah. He's going to find a way to put a wedge between us again. I'm just going to let it move on. Amanda said all the great words. Next topic, please.
Okay. Biggest surprise. However you determine that in film.
So my biggest surprise is the creator. I didn't know this movie was coming out until I started seeing the trailers for it. I was completely surprised that when I sat down, I just got lost in it. The story is fantastic. It's been done several times, but they still found a way to get me into the story. The villains are great. I love it. So that's my biggest surprise.
And I would have been right there with Arjan, but we did this episode on a podcast called Remake This Movie Right here on the Hollywood Outsider Network for the Dungeons and Dragons 2000 movie. And
I remember that. Yeah.
If you know anything about that 2000 movie and how Dungeons and Dragons was portrayed in that movie, there is no way in hell a Dungeons and Dragons movie ever should work. And Dungeons and Dragons this year with Christopher Pine was like everything you wanted Dungeons and Dragons to be. It was so well done that it made me completely forget about the 2000 version until I happened to listen to the Remake This Movie Right episode again and was like, oh yeah, Dungeons and Dragons and Taverns. And Dungeons and Dragons and Taverns.
Man, that movie was so close to my top 10 too. It's a great movie. Like, I really hope they do find a way to make a sequel to that. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I believe it's turning into a bit of a cult hit at the moment because people are finding it more and more as it's been being released on open release. But the movie itself does have so many great throwbacks to. If you're a D&D fan, you can dig into every single aspect of that movie and be like, I see it. And if you're not, it's just fun, and that's okay.
Even the trap chests.
It's not a trap chest. It's called a mimic.
Please don't ever say that again because you've insulted everybody in this world.
Right.
I don't know.
It's called a mimic.
My biggest surprise.
The best mimic story. If you guys ever want to hear it, I'm happy to sidebar and tell you it to the listeners who are D&D fans. It's hilarious.
Okay. I just felt like a new Discord channel just got created all of a sudden. It was like magical. Like it was like someone waved a wand or something.
My biggest surprise is Pinball, the man who saved the game.
That's a great choice.
Yeah, man, I was I don't care about pinball. Don't give a rat's ass about pinball, whatever that even means. What's a rat's ass? Who cares? But I don't care about the story behind pinball. Didn't care about the characters behind pinball. But I saw the Pinball, the man who saved the game, And I love this movie about Roger Sharp and his wife and how he was instrumental in saving pinball in New York City. It's a very independent film. I think it's on Hulu. But man, I loved it. It's a great movie. And I hope more people will finally find it and enjoy it because it is so well done. And we met, because I had this for the Beloit International Film Festival. We had it on selection for it. And Roger Sharp himself came to the event and did a Q&A. He was nice enough to come and do it for 2 screenings because he's not too far from the area. Wonderful guy, too. Like, he just, all across the board, man, the whole experience was the biggest surprise. I just never thought I would be that invested in pinball.
That one almost made mine, and the only reason it didn't was because I rolled a 20. So, Dungeons & Dragons.
Jeez.
There you go.
I see what you did there, Troy, and
I have
almost won me over.
No idea what you did there, and I don't care.
So my pick, this should not surprise anybody, but D&D. And I'll say, I'm going to add a caveat because yes, you're probably like, yeah, of course you loved it, Amanda. It's a D&D movie. But no, as Troy already mentioned, shitty movies have existed. So I went in with kind of low expectations, but high hopes. And I was surprised by just how amazing and how much I loved it. It took me by surprise for sure.
All right. Well, it's time for our top 10. You can do them all at your turn, obviously, and let it roll. Troy, what is your top 10 movies of the year?
All right, number 10, No Hard Feelings. Coming in at number 9. Yeah, I really enjoyed the R-rated raunchy comedy rom-com spin on it. Just the ending. If it wasn't for the ending and how it all kind of came together at the end, I probably wouldn't have put it on here. But I really liked the way it wrapped up. I thought they did a really nice job, for her storyline, for his storyline, the fact that they were still friends at the end. I thought it was all really good. Artifice Girl, number 9. We already chatted about that one. 8 was Dungeons and Dragons. 7, John Wick. 6 was the Super Mario Brothers movie. Saw that with the kids. Had an absolute blast. And the best part about that movie wasn't so much that the movie was good. It was all the homage and Easter eggs and when they do that whole part where they're running sideways through the level and jumping up and down, and you're like, they're actually, and then the castle thing at the end when they went into the store. That kind of stuff is just someone that really loved the property, really took some time with that one. And I hope the Zelda version is going to be just as good.
And don't you feel like Chris Pratt got a raw deal? Like people were just trashing him before.
Yeah,
that
because
came out, and he was
of
fine.
one little voice. Like, who cares? It's a voice.
He was fine. He was good. Even
like I didn't even know it was Chris Pratt. I just watched Mario. It was fun. 5 actually was Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
Yes.
I'm happy to say that movie redeemed flying monkeys and space aliens. It was from the opening with the castle sequence. It felt very classic indie. Granted, the CGI was a little bit weird, but the whole concept behind it was very Indiana Jones. I really loved Phoebe in it. She was great and just made me feel. And the ending was so like. It felt like if this was the last time Harrison Ford was going to be in an Indiana Jones movie, I felt the ending was appropriate.
That's perfect
for his character.
Yeah,
and where it goes. 4 was Wonka. 3 was The Creator. 2 was Barbie, and 1, of course, is Oppenheimer.
What? I'm going to make
shocked
that same
shocked
voice for all 3 of you as you get to your respective film.
Yeah, mine isn't going to surprise anybody whatsoever.
Mine probably won't either, but go ahead.
There may be a couple on here that are going to surprise you, but for the most part, no. So coming in at number 10, we have The Killer.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
The Michael Fassbender on Netflix film. Really?
Mm-hmm. The Fincher movie.
Yeah.
I love the way that this movie was created. I will say also has probably... It rivals Oppenheimer in terms of sound mixing.
Yeah, it's excellently done. Yeah, excellent.
Oh my God, it was so impressive, especially because there's a lot of moments and you've got like the voyeuristic view of things and it just hit home for me in a lot of ways. And I'm normally not like a slow burn, sit in the moment type of movie watcher. Like it takes a lot out of me to sit still and get through that. Mm-hmm. Just because I'm a very anxious person by nature, but there's something about the way David directs and the way his character, the way he keeps you entertained on the screen with the visuals and the commentary, even though it feels like a very slow moving experience and like you're just watching somebody live their life. And that's very much what I felt like. And then you have these really fun action sequences, and it was a good movie. If you haven't watched it, I liked it.
What I found, just a quick segue up, because we haven't talked about this movie at all.
Yeah.
One thing I found fun about that movie, or I don't know if it was, I'm sure it was intentional. It's Fincher. Everything's intentional with him. It's 56 takes per scene. Was the fact that Fassbender's character has this list that he keeps repeating about all the things you cannot do if you're in his position, and he does every goddamn one of them.
Yeah.
Like it's just a whole movie.
He's like,
of a
no
cluster.
empathy.
Yeah.
Clip.
Yeah. Empathetic.
Empathy. Yeah, that was really funny to me too. And I think that was like another part of what I really enjoyed about it is it felt like I'm tonally watching and experiencing how someone in this position probably thinks, where they're very logical. They're not emotionally connected. And so they're trying to be methodical. They're trying to be logical. They're trying to, make sure that they have everything planned out and that there's foresight. And that type of individual is not somebody who's going to be that you would expect to be kind of funny, but because of the way that it's made, you get this you get these two opposite components working at the same time. I can't think of the word right now that I'm trying to think of.
No, I get.
But yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I laughed in more than I expected in this movie, just because it was like very good dry humor. Coming in at number 9 is Hypnotic. I love me Ben Affleck. Yep. Oh my God, I love Ben Affleck, and I love Robert Rodriguez, and I really enjoyed that movie. Aaron, I know that you and I had a little bit of different feelings on it.
A lot of different, apparently. Yeah.
But I really enjoyed it. Like, I was hooked in that movie. Yeah.
I really dug that movie too, but I'm more surprised that you dug it.
Oh yeah, I love it. It was good. Coming in at number 8 is Indie and the Dial of Destiny.
Aww.
It would have been a lot higher on my list if it wasn't, and I know you guys are going to have different opinions, but if it wasn't for the really messed up, in my opinion, CGI of de-aging.
Just do not agree with you on this.
Really, really affected me. Like, it took me out of the movie, and I just struggled to get past that to put it higher.
Like Princess Leia out? Like that kind of out?
Yeah, exactly.
That was awful.
We have Totally Killer, which we've talked about. Mm-hmm. We've got Guardians 3. And I want to preface this and say, because I know we haven't talked about Guardians a whole lot. I've kind of gotten in this most recent phase for MCU, I've gotten burned out. They've not been good movies, if I'm being perfectly honest. But this one still, it brought it back, right? It took me back to like, okay, these are the good, fun ones that we have. It wasn't perfect by any means, but it was still a really enjoyable movie. So I was happy to have Marvel give me a little bit of something in terms of my time.
My issue with Guardians was that it felt like it was the same movie as 2. Like it was a rocket story in 2 and it was a rocket story in 3.
I can see that.
That's the only reason it didn't make my top 10.
Story in 2? I mean, it was Star-Lord's story.
Well, it's a Star-Lord and a rocket story in 2, but there's still a rocket story in 2.
What?
But this one gets you crying.
I don't feel
you know
like
what I
it's
mean?
the
Like
same at all,
I was sobbing in a couple of moments there in this third one. Then I've got Bottoms, which we've talked about. Really enjoyed that
Marshawn Lynch
one.
is in the top 5.
He is.
That's
amazing.
amazing.
John, this one is for you. Number 4 is Godzilla -1. Number 3 is John Wick 4.
Yay.
Number 2 is Barbie.
Yay.
And number 1, no surprise, D&D Honor Among Thieves.
It is a surprise. I thought it was going to be Barbie.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I am a little shocked, but I applaud you and tip my hat to you, madam.
It was
so good.
It really reminded me of being able to play a D&D game and watching it happen on the screen, which are 2 of my favorite things. So to see them merge together, I was like, this is magical. This is everything I wanted.
That's cool, man. I'm very happy that especially D&D players really got what they wanted out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and launch into this with something from way out of left field. My number 10 is Transformers Rise of the Beast. I know that we are all exhausted by Transformers movies because of Michael Bay. Thank you, Michael Bay.
That was a good one, though. That was good.
But that was a good one. You know, I really enjoyed Blue Beetle. Not Blue Beetle. I'll get to that later. Bumblebee. This is a direct sequel to Bumblebee in a lot of ways, and it carries on that same feeling that the Bumblebee movie had, and it tells the story of the Transformers in a much more approachable way, much more fun way, and better, and not so over the top or sexualized by whatever crazy reason you want to go through. My number 9 is Mission Impossible. My number 8, Blue Beetle. 7, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. 6, Equalizer 3, which is something we haven't talked about enough.
Well, hang on. Go back to Spider-Man before you. We'll come back to Equalizer. But did it bother? Because you guys have it mentioned a couple times in these awards. Did it bother either of you or any of you that it's to be continued? That it ends on a big cliffhanger?
Yes.
Urgh.
That did. I mean, that's why it's so low on my list, number 7. Because I love the first one. This one, I didn't know it ended on a cliffhanger the way it does, and it pissed me off because the whole time I'm like, this movie's got to end, right? They got to start wrapping it up soon.
Yeah.
And then we get to the point where they ended it, and I'm like, this is how we're going to do this? And it really just bothered me. So but I forgive it because it's a lot of fun. The music is great. The animation is amazing. So all those things are the reasons why I forgive it, and I enjoy it for what it is. So that's why it's where it is.
Okay.
My number 6 is The Equalizer 3. I love this story. I love the way they're telling the story.
Interesting.
If they end it here, I'm fine. If they keep going, I'm fine. I will do whatever it is they want to put on the screen. I'll keep with this Antoine Fuqua and Denzel Washington. I'll keep on watching it. My number 5 is The Creator. My number 4, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. My number 3 is Barbie. Anyone
Hell yeah! I'm surprised.
Yeah, I haven't said enough about. I haven't said anything about the Barbie movie, but I did finally get a chance to sit down and watch it over the break, and I really enjoyed the aspect where women are lifting women up. Women are they're at one point they're even being driven to compete against each other because of this whole Ken storyline. They're driven to compete for something that's stupid, but on every level, it beats the Bechdel test as far as how to improve a story. And for those who don't know what the Bechdel test is, a lot of older writing in movies, women are portrayed as only ever being interested in guys, or their story is only ever really about a guy. Mm-hmm. And that's not how guys' stories get told to a degree.
Value derivative of that person.
Right. So this one definitely passed the Bechdel test. I like the fact that women are put on a different kind of pedestal in which they can lift each other up, and I'm tired of seeing things that promote women tearing each other down. So Barbie. My number 2 is Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes.
I can't say it enough. It makes me want to roll dice. It makes me want to roll dice every day as much as I possibly can. I love the movie. I've sat down and rewatched it several times since it's come out. And then my number 1 is going to be, I'll wait for Aaron's surprise voice on this. Godzilla -1.
What?
Yeah.
Shocker.
I think that was decided in January of last year, wasn't it?
I probably was. As soon as I knew
and
it was
this year,
coming
what
up.
do you think number 1 is going to be? What do you think for 2024?
Godzilla versus
what could
Kong,
it be?
New Empire, maybe? Should be that one?
It's not versus, it's X.
Oh.
Godzilla with Kong.
They're working together now.
They're working
Whatever.
together.
And they somehow worked Barbie into that movie because Godzilla's totally pink for some reason.
I'm not going to sit here and educate you on the Godzilla being pink.
Please don't,
Don't have
because
the
I
time
won't.
for it.
I really won't give a shit. I'll be perfectly honest. I don't care. I'll still watch it. Good choices.
Damn right you will.
Good choices. I'm glad you picked The Equalizer 3. I really like that movie. I don't know if it got necessarily enough love, but it was still good.
Yeah, it's one that did not get as much praise as it should because the first 2 of this series were great, and this is just as powerful of a movie.
Yeah, it's good. I like how they ended it too, so that his character can kind of move on. All right, my top 10, starting with number 10, is The Artifice Girl. And I know Troy talked about it, but it's essentially the whole idea of is that it takes place in 3 different time periods. It's very minimal cast. It's very low budget. It's micro budget even. And it revolves around the emerging of AI and how AI is used to trap pedophiles and how that AI ends up evolving. It's a story I didn't know anything about when I walked into it. As soon as, like 5 minutes in, I'm like, Troy's going to love this movie just because I know he loves certain storylines and whatnot. And as it evolved, I started to love it because I really thought like, well, I don't know, it's just for Troy. It's not really for me, but I'll stick it out. And I loved how it evolved. So I can't recommend it enough. Again, it's called The Artifice Girl. No one is talking about it. It's a great movie. It really is.
I feel like I need to clarify that. I like a good AI story. I don't necessarily like a good pedophile story.
I'm glad you added those additional footnotes here for us.
Oh, man.
I like children.
Don't say that. Somebody's going to take a snippet of this. Goodbye to your career.
God. Oh,
you're in jail now.
That's a quote from a movie.
Ever since Aaron equated that with the Luck Dragon, I have never forgotten it to this day.
Oh, that's funny. All right. So number 9 is The Holdovers. And if you haven't seen it, it's just a charming little movie of Paul Giamatti playing a teacher who takes a student out and kind of has to be stuck with them around Christmas. And it's just both of them growing as characters and understanding where they're coming from. And Divine Randolph is in it. It's so good. It's just such a moving film. And, you know, I love a good character piece, and we don't have enough of them, and that's just a wonderful movie. And there's enough talk about that in the Oscar conversation, but it's a great movie. It's on, I think, Peacock right now.
Peacock streaming,
yeah.
Yes.
Number 8 is Barbie. We've talked a lot about Barbie, but I love Barbie. Number 7, this might be a surprise to most of you, but it's streaming on Peacock as well. Mr. Monk's Last Case. This is where Adrian Monk, who was, had an 8-year running TV show, came back to do a movie for Peacock. And it's not just because he came back and did another movie, it's another case, and yada, yada, yada. It's because they injected so much emotion into this particular film. I was kind of blown away. I was really, really moved. I don't know if any of you have seen this yet. I don't know.
No, but the question I have is, could you watch this not having seen the TV show and have the same impact?
Yes, I think they do a really, really good job. And Tony Shalhoub is just, he's wonderful in this part. And you just said, Amanda, you did have?
No, I haven't. I want to, but I haven't.
Well, he's a tragic character. He's a tortured character. He suffers from OCD and he solves murders. And he comes out for one more case to help his late wife's daughter. It's just, they incorporate how lonely he must feel, how he has to deal with the loss of his wife. Does this mean for someone like him, there's no place in the world for him? Like really, really dark issues. So it goes so much further than the show ever went. And I just think how they handled it was beautifully done. And the scene, there's a scene at the very, very end that really just showcases, kind of the importance of someone like this in the world and how they can make a difference. And it's just so well done. Like, I was bawling, and I never expected to bawl in a Monk movie. Like, I just did not. So I can't say enough good about it. And I hope people that, if you enjoyed the show or you've never even seen the show, it's worth a watch. Like, it was so touching to see that character really, really go full circle and not lose any of the cool ticks that he always has. He's still entertaining. He's still funny. But man, there's so much more depth in this story than there ever was in the show. And the show had a lot of depth too. Number 6 is Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning. Tom Cruise kicks ass. It's a great story. I love the extended chase scene with the train, or not chase scene, but the train sequence. That whole sequence, which is basically stolen from Uncharted 2. It's like totally ripped out of Uncharted 2. So well done. So thrilling. Then number 6 is Anatomy of a Fall. I kind of spoke to that movie already. It's a great movie. Please find it. Number 4 is Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. The effects do not bother me at all. I kind of think they work really well. But as Troy alluded to, or as Man alluded to, it is a film that I was really hesitant to see because Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, even though I can enjoy it, it's hard to explain why I enjoy it. I like it more for nostalgia than I like for any other reason. This is a damn good movie. And this is a fitting ending for Indiana Jones. They really, really capture his character. He gets a fitting ending, like Troy already talked about. But more importantly, he gets the opportunity to be part of what he treasures so much. And it's just him having to come to the understanding of why it's more important that he doesn't. And it's just such, like, it's all I can really say without kind of giving something away. But man, it's so well done. If you were hesitant about it because of, the reviews, actually, it's amazing. Like the reviews out of Cannes were really kind of piss poor. But then the movie actually came out, reviews soared, audience scores soared. People that actually see the movie love the movie. So don't be scared because of Crystal Skull. Go see it. It's a great movie. I think it's on Disney Plus right now, so you can watch it right now. Wonka, really surprised by that. I do think it's like a newer version of Greatest Showman. It's not as good as Greatest Showman, but it has that same kind of vibe. So that's my number 3. Number 2 is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I was really surprised that I love that movie as much as I did. Rocket Raccoon's whole storyline really, really moved me and kind of got me emotional. And then we had that PETA interview earlier in the year, and it reminded me that I like Guardians more than I like PETA. There's that. And my number 1 movie of the year, my favorite movie of the year, is John Wick Chapter 4. It's damn near a masterpiece, if it's not one. And it's shocking that it's the 4th film, and they just kept getting better with action scenes. But this is almost 3 hours long, and it's phenomenal. It works from start to finish. It gives John Wick a perfect ending. No, I don't think they're going to make another one, although I think he'll show up in Ballerina next year because that takes place before this. But I think the character is gone, and they give you just enough at the end to make you wonder, is he or isn't he? But that's like a perfect closure to me. That's how you end that kind of series. Just end it. Let people have their own ending. That's how you end it. So that's my number 1.
It's a very solid list. I dig all of that.
Thanks, man.
You're welcome, man.
I dig all of your lists. Some great movies that I'm sure a lot of people haven't even seen.
You know whose list I didn't dig? Troy's.
God damn.
That's fair.
Shots fired.
I'm just kidding.
So the top 5 listener picks for movies in 2023. Number 1 is going to be at the end. I'm actually starting at 4 because number 1 is a tie. So I'm starting at number 4.
That's why it messed them all up, because the number 1's a tie.
Number 1's a tie. It messed me up. Number 5 is The Holdovers. This is by all of our listeners. Number 3 is Oppenheimer. So there you go, Troy.
You can't go 5 to 3. You have to do 5, 4, 3,
4
1.
is 4 and 3 and 2, and then number 1's a tie. Okay, 4 is The Holdovers, 3 is Oppenheimer, 2 is Dungeons and Dragons, and 1 is a tie.
Okay.
It's not number 1. You got really excited for like third or second.
It doesn't
place.
matter. It's in the top 5. The fact that a D&D movie made it in the top 5 of our listeners for an entire year is phenomenal.
That's right. Amanda is correct on everything she is saying.
John and I are loving on each other real hard today.
We totally are.
This has got to stop. All right. Number 1 is a tie, which means they got the exact same amount of votes. Barbie and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
What?
Oh, you know what?
Wow.
I didn't vote. Let me go screw this up.
Doesn't matter. It's locked. Can't
It's
vote.
too late.
Yep. It's done. So there you go. That's the tie. Now we took all of those lists, as well as John, Amanda, Troy, myself, the listeners. We took all of them, threw them in a blender, and determined based on the average and placements in every list what was both the whole TV series of the year and the whole movie of the year. And only I know the answer to this. These guys actually have not seen the final results. The whole TV show of the year is, drumroll, anyone? Well done. We've got great audio here. The Last of Us. The Last of Us.
Yes. Okay.
This is my surprise face.
All right. Yeah.
Well done, Pedro.
That's way done. Well, way done. Way done.
Yeah, that's way done. We are way done. The whole movie of the year, drumroll.
Not as good. I do have a drum set right behind me. Should I go over to it real quick?
Start banging on the drum set. The whole movie of the year is Barbie.
Woo! Hell yeah!
Yeah, that's
This is
I'll,
Yes,
I'll get
queen.
behind that.
Troy, you just sound so defeated. You're like, this is my surprise face to that one.
I was hoping the movie one would actually flip to D&D or Oppenheimer's way, just but more variable.
I like
Last
how
of
he
Us- Last
threw
of Us was a
D&D
given
in
this
there.
year.
Like he was like, I hope it,
Well,
D&D
because it was so high
or
on the
I-
listeners list, I thought maybe it would push it over the top.
Uh-huh.
Why is Last of Us a given? There's a lot of great TV last year, man.
I kind of expected that one.
Yeah, I figured between the listeners, our John and me, it would be enough, whatever you call it, affinity voting that would give it enough points that would have made it pretty hard to beat.
Well, I only get half a point. You get 3 points. Aaron gets 6 points when it comes to voting or the scale. Amanda is just the only one that's even.
Hosts got all the same accounting, and then the listeners. So it's
John
fair.
has no
It's fair.
point, so let's just go ahead and say thanks so
John
much
got
for
negative.
listening.
We actually took away when John was like, "Yep, that's coming out." That's why
That's
Godzilla is
coming
in the
out,
top 5. That's why we
Right.
removed it. We said we can't
Yeah.
do this. No,
Mhm.
it's not going to happen. My God. All right, everybody, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this longer than expected episode, but I really hope you enjoyed it. Remember that next time you head into the theater or sit comfortably on your couch streaming in 2024, buy some popcorn. And they have microwavable now at AMC, so you can actually go to AMC, get the microwavable kind. You can have AMC
There you go.
popcorn wherever you want.
So
Do you
wait a
get
minute.
paid like they do from Apple? Like, what the hell?
Fuck no, these sons
Why
of
am I
bitches.
the only one not getting a check?
I don't understand why these bitches got so much Apple cash, man. They both got gift cards at this point.